Chapter 2173. Lunch was delayed until 3:30 in the afternoon. Li Longji and the others ate 2 meals today. They ate dried fruits when they were hungry at noon. It was a good way to replenish their energy and prevent them from absorbing too much calories. The other officials were normal. Only Li Longji and a few others made special adjustments. In order to eat with Guan Jiging's family, they also adjusted their bodies. Guan Jiging's family had a good night's sleep, relieving the fatigue of the journey, mainly on the psychological side. They finally returned to the Tang dynasty. When they were in other places of the Tang dynasty, they were thinking about more medical books. When they arrived at Chang'an, they saw the prosperity of Chang'an and the train, which they had never seen before. They were nervous when they got off the train. What kind of person was Li Dongzhu? What did he think of their family? In the end, the 2 emperors and empresses of the Tang dynasty welcomed them with the civil and military officials. They bathed in different things and slept in different places. They had to rest for 4 more hours. For lunch they ate hot pot with a lot of dishes. Since they couldn't finish it, they would share it with Tao Hong and the others. The dishes in front of Madame Guanluo were all edible for pregnant women. Her hot pot had chicken and pig bones as a clear soup base and Crucian carp soup base. Madame Guanteng tasted every dish in front of her daughter-in-law, including tomatoes, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, beans, and other things that she had never seen before. After tasting, she nodded to show her approval. Sure enough, everything was edible. Her daughter-in-law ate a little of everything, which was good for both the mother and the child. Guan Jiging's family felt the heritage of the Li family Zhuangzi. There were so many dishes that they had never seen before, but they tasted very good. Not bad. Zhuangzi was suitable for nourishing the fetus. It was better than other places. Zhuangzi has prepared a big courtyard for everyone. You can eat in the cafeteria. You can go to whichever one you like. We usually eat in the first cafeteria. Sometimes Xiaoyi will cook personally. Her stir-fry suits our taste. There are 3 buildings for all kinds of books. You can go in and read as you wish. Remember not to bring fire in. If you want to read it at night, take it out and register. It's best not to read it too late. It's harmful to the mind and eyes. Li Dan was the most senior here. He was the one who spoke, and his words were straightforward. It wasn't that he couldn't understand the language. People who studied medicine had a good foundation in literature. Guan Jiging's family was overjoyed. They had never dreamed of such a life. He didn't do anything at home. He just poisoned someone when he was treating them. That's how it should be. Would he really treat his enemy well? The key was that they had just escaped from the front line, and the army of the Tang dynasty was right behind them. He could take a gamble. Madame Guan looked at the little girl and said, "I like this child, Qingdai. She has some tricks up her sleeves. I wonder if... Teach me. I can even take you as my master." Li Yi was generous, who said that one could only take one master. He knew that the other party was from a minority ethnic group in the southwest, and was very good at using poison. She said that she brought her daughter-in-law to eat opium. After getting addicted to it, she quit her normal life. This meant that he was already addicted to the drugs he came into contact with under normal circumstances. He had gotten used to it, and his willpower had been honed. Li Yi had heard of a special kind of people who took drugs. The purpose of taking drugs was not to enjoy the process of taking drugs. After they were done with drugs, they quit. They didn't need to use any drugs. They just gave up and experienced what it felt like. How satisfying. The double physical and psychological torture was a wonderful experience for them. The drugs were right next to them. If they didn't take them, they could do it again after they quit. Madame Guan hurriedly waved her hand and said, "You can't be my master. It's good that Qingdai is willing to learn." "Learn. Then I will also poison the enemy." The little girl felt that the other party was very good at using poison. It was much more vicious than her family sometimes. "Save people, not poison people," Li Yi emphasized. "Poison people, as your master. I have a way to teach you. Poison a large area and kill thousands of people." "Godly. Dongzhu, do you have that kind of poison?" Madame Guan was interested. What kind of poison was so powerful? "Yes, let's talk about it later." Li Yi did have it, but he couldn't use it. It was against the harmony of heaven. In his opinion, The people of Tubo, later Turkic, Khitan, Bohai, and other places would all be the people of the Tang dynasty in the future. Why would he kill so many people? Li Dongzhu is really a genius doctor. Old man Guan Shitang felt that he had found the right person. There is no such thing as a genius doctor. I just tried my best. Li Yi shook his head. He knew that he was far from being a genius doctor. Everyone eats sweet potato slices. Cut them thickly. Otherwise, they will be cooked quickly. You can't eat too much. Princess Yongmu introduced the sweet potatoes. She could see that Li Lang was helpless when he talked about medicine. Doctors were originally heaven-defying. There were times when a person's strength was limited. Everyone followed the instructions and put the sweet potato slices into the pot. Then they took the vegetables. Dr. Li Dongzhu, are they all vegetables in the greenhouse? The young man Guanzhong was not a child from Bohai. He thought that there were fresh cucumbers and eggplants in Luoyang. Not cabbage, not aged vinegar peel, not sweet potatoes, not pumpkins, and not others. There are many varieties of pumpkins. Only rich families can store them for food. There are 6 people in your family. You can't finish them in a few days. The more you eat, the less you want to eat. So you should mainly sell them. Li was very patient. He explained to the young man that there were different varieties of pumpkins. Each pumpkin weighed 20 to 30 caddies. Their own family could keep them for a long time. Once they were cut, the shelf life would decrease. Those who sold these pumpkins cut them into pieces. Others would buy them to eat at home. Can't you sell the seeds to others? Guanzhong thought of the common people. As you wish. When there are more seeds, pumpkins can be grown in all the places in the Tang dynasty. Li Longji's words made him admire Guanlin more. Guan Jiging's family was not the only one. Guan Jiging's education was good. He was able to treat people's hearts, and also had the ambition to treat the country. When Li Longji was in a good mood, even Tubo's doctor couldn't make his family submit, let alone people like Brother Yi. Even if Brother Yi didn't go to Chang'an, he would definitely take care of you in other places. Then he would come back to me, your elder brother? Father-in-law. Li Longji was conflicted because of the relationship between the two parties. But he was happy to eat hot pot. Anyway, Brother Yi couldn't run away. Everyone ate until the sky turned dark. Guan Luo didn't eat much. She controlled herself. She had 2 children, so she knew what to do. She was in a good mood. If she ate well, the children in her belly would also eat well. Even in the current season, there were many edible fruits. There were few fresh fruits in season, but there were canned fruits. After eating, everyone went back to rest. Guan Jiging's family entered the courtyard. There were eunuchs and palace maids teaching them the use of various things. Now Li family Zhuangzi had turned on the heater. They allowed small windows to ventilate, but not big windows to adjust the temperature. If you think it's too hot, you can turn down the valve to save coal for Zhuangzi. The family couldn't sleep. They slept from morning to 3 in the afternoon. Even Guan Luo wasn't sleepy. She was eating fruits. Li family Zhuangzi is so good that it makes people scared. Guan Shitang expressed his opinion. Father, are we leaving? Guan Jiging asked with a reluctant expression. Why should we leave? Where should we go? Are we afraid of other people's wealth? Aren't we more afraid of our enemies? Guanting thought differently. How much baggage and weapons did Li family Zhuangzi send out? How much were those things worth? And they didn't allow Li Yi to enjoy the money he earned? His Majesty's family was here, including the other princes. It was equivalent to saving the palace's expenses and treating Li family Zhuangzi as the palace's inner court. Chapter 2174. Guan Jiging looked at his mother and nodded. Yes, his mother was right. Who was in charge of this family? Obviously it was his mother. At the crucial moment in Tubo, his mother thought of cooking alone and poisoning others to protect her family. Living well in Zhuangzi, all 3 buildings are filled with books. The biggest temple's sutra pavilion can't be compared. Guan Tengshi continued. She looked at her 2 grandsons and daughter-in-law's belly. The future of the children depended on the Li family Zhuangzi. Dr. Li was rich, but he didn't earn money from treating patients. But he also paid for herbs. As a doctor, why can't he live a good life? Was Dr. Li unkind? Don't go, Sister Qingdai is good. Guanxi spoke from his heart. He liked to be with his sister. When she smiled, he was happy too. Dr. Li is a good person, he never calculates people. Guanzhong also expressed his opinion. He couldn't not express his opinion. His grandfather wanted to leave. In Zhuangzi, he lived well, ate well, and read a lot of books. That's true. Guan Shitang admitted that he thought too much. Li Yi, who was evaluated by Guanzhong as never calculates people, didn't rest at this time. He released a small device. Ji Yijing ran to the temple. There was a tunnel to other places. His infrared thermal imaging couldn't be used, neither could the radar, but he could listen. He sent the small device out. The next time Ji Yijing wanted to run away, he would listen along the way. Z, are you coming back? Li Yi video called Guazi after he finished releasing the things. Yes. Ron wants to go back tomorrow morning with the road construction method given by Ji Yijing. We are very tired these 2 days. Guazi explained the situation. Ron wanted to go back to Zhuangzi to find Princess True Jade. He was also annoyed. Why are you tired? Didn't you experience it when you were playing games? Is this a problem? Li didn't understand. When you were in special training, were you as relaxed as you are now? At that time, I was so tired that I cried. That kind of intensity again, I can do it. I have nurses, I have more equipment. Tired, right? Who gave me a surprise? Very good. When everyone gathered together, the nurses also needed to train. Li Yi's mood inexplicably became better. The facilities in his hospital could not be compared to an ordinary tertiary grade A hospital. Some of the 3,000 winged knights in the first batch didn't leave a deep impression on him. After that, he didn't have a chance to play with the rest, including the 16 guards and the unconvinced mercenaries. Since everyone had nothing to do, they weren't afraid of losing their lifespan in exchange for emergency medicine. We are playing with a sandbox. Without a sandbox, someone has to be in charge of organizing the things in the middle. There are always problems. According to Guazi, his situation was similar to playing a scenario kill. But there was a difference. The sandbox of war was beyond the scenario kill. Sometimes the referee could not make a decision. It was different from playing in Zhuangzi, where there was a referee team in Zhuangzi. Okay, come back. I have a lot of nurses here. You can play again. It's safer. Li Yi ended the video call. The surrounding 5 people looked at Guazi with unfriendly gazes. What? How dare you hit me? Let's see if I can take care of you with one hand. Child's play. Guazi looked around. Yes, I accidentally touched something, but you dare to fight with me? I can easily take care of the 5 of you alone. No, I'm just happy. I want to experience it again. At the same time, I want to let my brothers know that we didn't play well. Some people wanted to cry. They had already endured it, and they had to go through it again? This game was not about drawing a line. Everyone had the same starting point. The stronger you were, the more difficult it was. Even if you became immortal after the training, Li Dongzhu would drag you back to hell. Do I have to experience the feeling of wanting to die again? How can this be? You want to play? Those who weren't played by Li Yi were conflicted. They were a little scared. But more than that, they were excited. I don't believe it's that hard. Brother, cherish it. Before you play, eat whatever you want. Zhuangzi will provide it. Whether it's eating now or eating during the game, it will become a beautiful memory for you. Remember what I said. The best days are always yesterday. Remember, don't give up. Those who had played before were wiping their tears. They didn't want to experience it again. The person who asked the question trembled. Know that. Can I not play? Not play? Go home. You can go home whenever you want to play. Go back. I can't go back, right? I won't be eliminated even if I die. Listen to me. Before we play, there will be a test. During the test, try to hide your weakness or do a lot of physical exercise between tests, including not sleeping. During the test, the data obtained will show your physical condition. After that, it will be relatively easy. Some people were smart and knew the procedure. If your body wasn't good, you can't do a lot of exercise. And then you can have a smooth journey? The person who didn't participate continued to ask. If you think too much, you can hide for a day. The next day, when the data is adjusted, Your condition will be known. Half a month. I want to be sent out. Don't talk about it. Many times, you will be scared awake in the middle of the night. I heard that there are people who took the imperial exam. They have been in it for 20 years, but they still dream of taking the imperial exam. So the script killing is actually designed for people who are not outstanding enough. The real script killing is a sandbox war. Lee also had his own thoughts. He regretted it. He shouldn't have created a script killing, but it was different from other people's scripts. Those people's scripts were mostly suspense. The people who wrote the scripts didn't dare to write too big. Maybe they didn't have the ability, or maybe they didn't think it had market value. He thought that writing a big strategic script killing was more enjoyable. Everyone could play a sandbox war together. Not only war strategy, but also official strategy, business strategy, and so on were more advanced. It probably wouldn't attract many people, because people who could reach this level would play a script killing with you. They would kill in real life. I have to train the nurses. There are so many of them. Let's do theoretical training first. Then, we will take in more patients. After that, some of them will go for advanced studies, and some of them will be resident doctors. They will experience the state of being able to wake up and sleep at any time. After they are trained, we will start the game. I have to keep an eye on them. Sai, this is a double-edged sword. Call the little girl and Guizong. They can't do too much. They are still growing. Li Yi began to plan. The nurses shouldn't be too idle and should experience it. Some of the 16 guards and winged knights had never experienced battle, including recruitment. Their combat strength was not as good as Zhuangzi's guards. Most of Zhuangzi's guards were provocateurs. They were used to fighting with their lives and exchanging injuries for lives. The best battle for the winged knights was to invite others to battle. In order to be flexible, they didn't wear armor. They rode horses and shot at the enemy. Whoever was wearing armor would lose in terms of aura, and they would not be able to move freely. It was like fighting with bayonets. The rabbit army was never afraid of bayonets. That was why the later people were so hot-blooded and didn't fear war. You're back so soon? I caught you. You should be in Tongcheng. You really don't understand your opponent. Li lay on the bed and thought. Suddenly he received a message. The detector he sent out later collected information about the underground vibration. Along the way to the side room of Chongjua Temple, a little vibration could be detected. Chapter 2175. The moon in the sky was still very small, and it rose late. The most obvious influence was the tides of the sea. Although it could not be seen, the effect of gravity was still there. Li Yi could not control the moon. As long as he found the person behind the scenes, the rest would be easy. Li Yi mumbled to himself as he looked at the screen. He wanted to see if the lights in that room were on. The sound was transmitted. The monk was not chanting the Diamond Sutra. There's movement. Why did you come out, Ji? It's useless even if you dig a good tunnel. Once you're targeted, they won't let you go. What was this temple again? My performance was so outstanding when I was preaching and discussing Tao. How dare you play tricks on me? Do you really think the technology is fake? Li could not understand. Even now you're still so stubborn. What's the difference between you and the local officials who still committed crimes when the party was investigating them? On the screen, Ji Yi was coming out of the house. She carried a lantern and left the temple through the side door. She walked towards Luoyang. At this time, there was no need for hummingbird drones to follow her. The fixed-wing aircraft circling in the sky was enough. Less than 3 minutes after she left, a horse carriage came from behind. It was carrying goods. He waved his hand, and the carriage slowed down. He said a few words, and the carriage smiled and nodded. He sat next to the carriage shaft, to the driver's right. He pulled out an exchange voucher from his sleeve. The camera zoomed in. The denomination was 5 jiao. The driver happily took it and put it in his pocket. Too stingy. Stingy. It's 6 to 7 li from here to the city, and you're only giving me 5 jiao? Your clothes are worth 100 jiao. Li looked at him with disdain. The driver actually agreed. He laughed, then shook his head. Nowadays, exchange vouchers are worth a lot. Food and salt are cheap. Hunan province's rice is 2 jiao for a bushel. If Medora walked this way, she could eat grain bought for 5 jiao and have some left over. Li Yi thought of the bus. 1 jiao could take several stops. It was expensive. At that time, his family's income was low. At that time, there were food stamps, provincial food stamps, and national food stamps. It was good enough to earn 30 jiao a month. A bus ride cost at least 10 jiao. When the average monthly income was more than 3 jiao, wouldn't it be 10 jiao? What are you doing at night? On the screen, GE was holding up a lantern to illuminate the horse while chatting. Stewed charcoal. Give it to the stall owner. Now that the roads are safe, there's no need to worry about driving at night. He looked at Ji Yijing's clothes. He didn't know how much it cost, but it couldn't be cheap. Yes. Otherwise, how would I dare to walk alone at night? Ji Yijing said, Your Majesty is gracious. Li Dongzhu is virtuous. How did he know that coal was good to use? You can also braise charcoal. The villagers dug, washed, and stewed the coal together. It did not take much time. The price of grain was low, so they could make up for it with this. The money you earned in one winter is more than what you earned in a year. You have chickens at home? Do you have chickens at home? The coachman talked about his village and asked Ji Yijing. I raised a few. Ji Yijing seemed to have been absent-minded. You look like you're from a rich family, but you must be burning charcoal in winter. The driver continued to look at Ji Yijing's clothes. He wanted to evaluate the price. Don't burn it? Ji Yijing shook her head. There's a stove. Burning charcoal is easy to get poisoned. That's right. Your clothes are worth 1 coin. I'm just asking. I'm not robbing you. Don't worry. The coachman couldn't estimate the price, so he could only ask. It's old goods from the pawn shop. 70 coins, but it's to make it look decent. Ji Yijing didn't dare to say that she had a set of 100 coins. Who knows if the other party would be excited and try to rob her. It's not expensive. I made a new set of clothes that cost 20 coins. I can't wear it when I'm working. The coachman talked about his new clothes, as if to prove to Ji Yijing that the difference between them wasn't that big. Ji Yijing nodded. When I'm working, I also wear linen clothes. Scholars also need to work. Yes, Li Dongzhu will personally dig the manure. The coachman expressed his understanding. No such thing. Li Yi said to the screen. I can dig, but why should I? Of course, if you shake my hand while digging, I'll agree. If you accidentally fall from the manure pit, I won't care if I jump in to save you. But I won't dig. The coachman and Ji Yijing were chatting when they arrived at the city gate. Ji Yijing thanked them and jumped down to enter the city. The city gate was wide open, just like Chang'an. There were guards on both sides. They entered from the west gate and ran to the bus stop to wait for the bus. The road was also paved with wooden tracks. At this time, there were many horse-drawn buses. Luoyang's nightlife was rich. When a bus came, he said that he was going to Xuanshan Square. The other party charged him 20 coins. A little more than 15 minutes later, the bus arrived. Ji Yijing got off the bus and entered the fragrant sauce pavilion. When he entered, he licked the corner of his mouth. Li Yi looked and also wanted to lick the corner of his mouth. He was eating snacks. Suddenly he was stunned. He adjusted the screen and looked at the corner of Ji Yijing's mouth. Previously, there was a faint dark brown color at the corner of Ji Yijing's mouth. When he looked back, after licking, the color disappeared. Xuanshan Square Fragrant Sauce Pavilion. This is interesting. I don't want to kill people. Li Yi muttered and stopped looking. The drone rotated to the sky and stared at the fragrant sauce pavilion. After midnight, Guazi and the others packed up the things and put them on the carriage. They carried them through the difficult place and hurried back. Ron was in front. He couldn't find a car, so he could only ride his own bicycle. The kerosene lamp hung on the handlebars to illuminate the road. The bicycle was 1,000 carts, and the kerosene lamp was 100 carts. It was equivalent to a year's income in a remote county, or even more. The key was that the bicycle he rode had a transmission. There were 2 flywheels in front and 4 small flywheels in the back. This was a new product in Zhuangzi. It was ridden by the villagers and couldn't be sold outside. It was useful when going uphill and could test the toughness and brittleness of the steel. A chain. When he was young, Li Yi used this kind of chain to make guns for fun. The lethality depended on what was put inside. The people working at the construction site all looked sideways. This was why Ron didn't want to ride his bicycle. It attracted too much attention. Some people would understand that it wasn't easy to be Princess True Jade's male companion. In addition to looks, he must have enough talent. Some people spurned him and said behind his back that he relied on women to gain benefits. Today he couldn't care less. He had a good way to repair the road. The yellow stone was good for water. The local name was Less Stone. He didn't know that its scientific name was weathered stone. He also didn't know that this stone was best used with potassium feldspar. Some of the people working had envy in their eyes. They couldn't buy a bicycle with the money they earned in their lifetime. They estimated that with the current price of a bicycle, 1,000 carts, how much money could they make in a day? They didn't consider the development of technology. Now a bicycle was 1,000 carts. When the basic industry reached a certain level, 10 carts would be enough, or even 5 or 1 cart. Just like Li Yi's bicycle, there were expensive and cheap ones. He could ride one that cost more than 200 yuan. He could go to the repair shop and buy a second-hand one. 30 don't go. 20 it can't be lower. If it's lower, I'll sell it to scrap iron. Chapter 2176. Ding-ling ding-ling. 2 carriages pulled by military horses walked on the road. The horses seemed very excited. This excitement had nothing to do with the coolness of the night. Horses wouldn't get fat without night grass. Before returning, they ate grass, grains, and 2 extra handfuls of pepper and a piece of fructose. The 2 of them probably felt that it was the new year. The reunion dinner was too delicious. If we need to kill people, I want to do it myself. The people who joined the winged knights later on were eating canned meat. The bamboo canned braised pork was filled with lean meat to supplement protein. The other winged knights also ate. Some ate chestnut chicken, some ate horse meat, and some ate rabbit and beef. Li Dongzhu usually doesn't kill people unless the other party kills them. At most, they'll practice scheming, and then they'll set up cannons and mine. For example, Li Dongzhu didn't kill corrupt officials. After all, they're all scholars. Another person said that scholars had yet to be killed. But why do I feel that the officials of Lantian County are living a life worse than death? They want to die but don't dare to. If they die, their families will be implicated. I think they should be given another chance to be officials. I guarantee that they'll do well. They're in Luoyang. They're here to make a report. The rest of the time they're repairing the road. Everyone else is watching. Li Dongzhu is really ruthless. Stop talking. Let's go back and wait to play games. Let's change the topic. Ron's riding speed isn't fast. The road isn't good enough. It's bumpy, and it's cold at night. It's easy to get sick if you sweat. It's written in the 3 medical books used for the imperial examination. We've already finished reading those 3 books, and we're still looking at simple surgical operations. We're just short of memorizing the Analects of Confucius, right? You want to take the imperial examination next year? Can you write poems? I'll practice. It doesn't matter what I practice. If it doesn't work, I'll ask Dongzhu to give me a question. Why don't you just ask Dongzhu to set the question? That works too. What do we do after passing the exam? Continue to be winged knights. What else can we do? Forget it. I'll learn useful knowledge. I don't need to use the Analects of Confucius. If I have the time, I might as well learn a foreign language. We'll be local officials in the future, right? Learn more. When the time comes, if you don't know, you can ask Li Dongzhu. You can also ask the villagers who work in the area. Are you cold? There's soup in front. I'm not cold. Let's go. Don't stop. The carriage pulled everyone past a place where they could eat. There was always hot food here. People who were sweating from work came here to drink hot soup and wipe their sweat with a wet towel. They worked hard and paid particular attention to efficiency. It wasn't like Li Yi's time, where people used barrels of paint to fill stones and then passed them around, one after the other. From one end to the other, the pail was half filled with pebbles. This half bucket of pebbles had passed through at least 90 people's hands before it reached a distance of 50 meters. It took 3 minutes. Or fill the bag with sand. After filling half the bag with sand, the man picked it up and walked a step and a half before collapsing to the side. The commoners of Great Tang didn't do such a thing. Every time they changed shifts, they would exhaust themselves to the point of exhaustion. Then they would eat with all their might and fall asleep after eating. The road was different every day. There was a small hill in front of them. 3 days later, it was not that the road on the hill was repaired, but that the hill was gone. At dawn, the carriage entered the main road and arrived at Zhuangzi in half an hour. Tell Dongzhu to give more protein, Guozi said. He now knew that the best thing to eat when working was not fatty meat, but lean meat and eggs. Fatty meat only tasted good and tasted fragrant. Ron also arrived at the place by bicycle. He could not ride fast. The road was not good, and he was afraid of sweating too much and getting sick. After entering Zhuangzi, he changed gears back and forth, going up the big slope with a small flywheel in front and a big flywheel behind. Going up the small slope, he had a small flywheel in front and a second gear flywheel behind. Zicheng, come down quickly and take a bath first. Are you tired from the journey? Princess Yuzhen received the news and ran out of the courtyard to greet Ron. Ron had made a lot of progress recently. Both Imperial Brother and Li Yi said he was good. At least there are bicycles to use. It's hard for others to push carts and carry stones. Ron waved his hand and said that it was not easy for road builders. He was going to be an official, and his thoughts were different. He did not want to mention Li Yi, but he took Li Yi as an example. He was not blind, and his heart was not blind. He knew what Li Yi did. The Li family Zhuangzi farmers worked hard for the sake of the people of the Tang dynasty. When he was in Zhuangzi, he was naturally affected. Male companions were not male pets, and male pets were not qualified to be recommended. Who would dare to introduce male pets to Li Longji? Not when Li Yi was not around. Zicheng, what do you want to eat for breakfast? The more Princess Yuzhen looked at Ron, the more satisfied she was. Roast duck. Ron was not hypocritical. He just wanted to eat. 2 days ago, Ji Yizheng brought him roast duck. He was not comfortable eating it, so he ate it as roast chicken and tore it open. Roast duck is good. Princess Yuzhen agreed. A little eunuch next to her jumped out to find roast duck. Fortunately, this was not difficult. The Li family Zhuangzi always had normal things. Ron went in to take a bath and took a shower. He could not take a bath, because he still had to take a bath tonight. After taking a bath, he would receive a massage and scrub service. The rice vermicelli of this indica rice is really good. During breakfast, Li Longji ate rice vermicelli. The rice vermicelli shop was built. After a few days, the people did not need to cook indica rice anymore. The people who grew indica rice took it to the workshop, deducted 20% of the loss, and exchanged it for rice vermicelli. The shelled indica rice had an additional 15% loss, which meant that 10 buckets of shelled indica rice could be exchanged for 7.5 buckets of rice vermicelli. However, the shelled rice was given to them, and they collected processing fees. They took it to raise poultry and livestock, or did other things. After deducting labor and equipment costs, there is only a 2% profit. The shelled rice has an additional 1% profit. Baigu calculated as he ate. After deducting the shelled rice, the net profit was 3%. After including the tax, it was more than 3%. Baigu looked at Li Yi while speaking. Li Yi was not eating rice vermicelli. He was eating dumplings. The leftover steamed dumplings from the cafeteria yesterday were fried in the morning. When eating, one had to be careful not to break one's mouth. Steamed dumplings had little water to begin with. After being fried overnight, they were harder and more oily, which made them more fragrant. Xiaoyi, don't you think the profit is too low? The Ministry of Revenue's transactions have to be taxed. Baigu took the initiative to ask Li Yi when he saw that Li Yi was silent. Where's your conscience? How many days does the input-output cycle take? Is that how 3% is calculated? If it's once a day, the profit is 3%, and the cycle repeats. How can it be calculated according to the operating ratio, and not the annual profit to deduct tax? On a monthly basis, the annual profit is more than 40%. Li Yi was not an idiot. He could see through the operation mode of the Ministry of Revenue at a glance. On a monthly basis, 3%, and then compound interest? More than 40% in 12 months. This was still the monthly tax. If it was changed to the annual tax, the profit would be more than 98%. Do you know what I used to do? The things you learned were all written by me. Are you sure you are ready? Join the group. Chapter 2178. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Photos appeared on the screen. Li Yi's voice sounded. Surname Ji, name Yizheng, courtesy name Xuanji, from Zhengzhou Xingzi County, Hunan Province. Born in the first month of the first lunar year. Taking part in next year's imperial examinations as a tribute. After the introduction, the screen changed to a live broadcast. Ji Yizheng was full of energy. At night, he ran to Shaluo village to hold a bonfire party with other students, drinking, reciting poetry, and dancing. The women who played with him were not from Xigong Square. The women from Xigong Square were practicing military songs and dances with other people in Li family Zhuangzi. Xigong Square was closed. No, not completely closed. There were men inside receiving customers. All of them were beautiful like young stars. They received both men and women, but there were not many of them. 5 fixed-wing drones hovered in the sky, with another drone relay. Bad guy. Princess Yongmu held a fried meat skewer. Not just bad. He came in contact with Ron and built a bamboo bridge. Li Yi told the two of them about Ji Yizheng's ideas to Ron, and some key conversations. Behead. Princess Yongmu heard and said 2 words. The whole family. Xiaolon added. Princess Yuzhen was His Majesty's sister from the same father and mother. His mother was killed. Could it be that His Majesty couldn't even protect his sister? I don't think I can practice. Li Yi was regretful. What a good person to practice with. Looking at the severity of the situation, it was likely that the whole family would be exterminated. Practice, use poison, observe his reaction, and collect information. Princess Yongmu gritted her teeth and said, Li Yi, do you want to use the plague? You want me to be? Wait for the data. There's no need to test it on people. Li Yi refused. He did have the data. Let the nurses practice. Xiaolon suggested. Nurses were prone to mistakes. Looks like he doesn't have much money. He never changed his clothes. The person behind him is more important. Li Yi noticed that Ji Yizheng was wearing the same clothes. It's actually Su embroidery. Princess Yongmu listened to Li Yi's words and carefully looked at Ji Yizheng's clothes. Xiaolan curled her lips. No wonder I have to go to Heavenly World to play. It's in the open space of Shaluo village. There's no money. She looked down on clothes that cost 100 yuan. She had them, but she didn't wear them. Instead, she admired the design. The clothes she usually wore were made by Zhuangzi. They were cheap, and the production cost was low, but the selling price was not cheap. Some clothes were much more expensive than Su embroidery and shoe brocade. But she knew that Su embroidery and shoe brocade were the best. One Tianlanxiang Pavilion does not provide entertainment for men. The mountain behind Heavenly Earth can be chosen. The hot spring in the drunken immortal residence was also fine. When they asked him to provide some information, he had tactfully rejected them. He knew what could be done and what couldn't be done. Bribery and earning money were internal problems of the country. Betraying the country's interests was another problem, no matter how big or small. Therefore, Ji Yizheng was only pitiful in his eyes, but he didn't pity or forgive her. Now Ji Yizheng, you can choose to go to the Li family Zhuangzi and explain the situation. I Li Yi will protect you. I can't take the initiative to talk to you about this, because I know you won't turn around and sell me out. Write it in tomorrow's newspaper. Say that those who harmed the imperial family and the Li family Zhuangzi were used by others. Take the initiative to surrender and be exempted from all punishment. The excuse is that Hunan Prefecture is developing, and it's necessary to clean up the stubborn poison that harmed the common people. I'll give a few small examples first to avoid being found out. This can be considered the strength of unity that I can unite. Even now, Li still wanted to give Ji Yizheng a chance. You're being used. Surrender, surrender. You have a family, and you still want to move away. The world is big, but there's no place for you to escape. Do you know how big of a crime you've committed? I've got my eyes on you. Where can you run to? As Li Yi spoke, he picked up a piece of fried potato and chewed it. The next morning, Princess True Jade's face was radiant and full of energy. She came to eat breakfast, and said that she wanted to bring back deer whip soup. The female nurse told her that whole lamb soup was actually better. Add a few braised quail eggs inside, and the deer whip soup wouldn't have much of an effect. It was easy to have problems after eating it, and then become even weaker. If you think it's okay, add some desert cistanche, ginger slices, and pickled vegetables to eat more. Princess True Jade followed the advice. The nurse first had to be a young top imperial physician in the imperial medical department. After that, she had to learn another set of theories and operations from Li Yi. If there were still problems, then there was a problem. Chapter 2180. It's delicious. Today's dumplings are filled with beef again. Ziyi said that the people working should eat more protein. People from Bohai have arrived one after another. Tell the coastal areas to catch fish as soon as possible. The bigger the fish, the better. Don't eat the internal organs, bones, and fish head yourself. Hurry up and send the fish meat over. Add a little salt and make fried fish meat for the people working. During breakfast, Li Yi stirred the porridge with his chopsticks. He also added some water into the porridge. On the way back, Guazi and the others saw that the road workers were working hard and told Li Yi about it. Li Yi sent a batch of chickens, ducks, and eggs. The price of poultry in Hunan province naturally rose by 2%. After a few more days, the price of meat for the people in Hunan province would increase. Li Yi couldn't suppress the rise in prices caused by the change in supply and demand. Poultry had a cycle of rearing, so there was no shortage of fish in the coastal waters. There were many people waiting to fish and earn money on the shore of Haizhou. They were responsible for cleaning the internal organs and bones of the fish. The people from the big families who were willing to invest would use the cement to make a platform for processing seafood. When the fish from the fishing boats arrived, they would buy the fish and hire the people to process it and pay them. The work was basically fixed. The big families could cooperate with each other, but they couldn't form a monopoly. With the Tang dynasty's Chaotian Fund, the fund's work platform was the best and set the price. At the same time, the big families had to raise the wages of the employees a little more than the fund. They also paid the labor benefits provided by the Chaotian Fund. Princess Yongmu was eating wontons. She picked up a wonton and blew on it. I heard them say that the people of Luoyang couldn't eat much meat in winter a few years ago. Now they just want to save money. Saving money is good. Currently, the Tang dynasty's economic development doesn't pursue speed. It only cares about the people's livelihood. When the foundations of most areas are laid, then we'll consider using inflation to promote development. Li put it simply. By using deficit spending, the money would circulate and be used in all aspects, and the speed of development would be faster. If the production technology couldn't keep up, inflation would appear. This would force the production technology to transform into productivity and research new technology. The Tang dynasty couldn't do this at the moment. If this was done, the people in other places would have no way to survive. Listen to Li Lang. Princess Yongmu nodded and opened her mouth to eat the wonton. It was not so hot anymore. Where's Xiaolan? Li Yi turned his head to look. Just now, he thought Xiaolan had gone to get food. Why hadn't she come back yet? Li Yi nodded. But the way to attack a fish, regardless of its size, is like killing a chicken to remove its eggs, burning a forest to hunt, and draining a pond to fish. Li Yi once again borrowed a portion of the content from Huainanzi. This was like electric fishes and fried fish, both big and small. In the current Tang dynasty, there was a hunting ban every year. The hunters themselves knew how to maintain it, including the woodsmen who cut firewood. When fishermen went fishing, they would set nets with different sizes and holes for different fish. They would use big holes in areas where big fish could grow, and small holes in areas where the fish could not grow. When no one knows, it is not taught. When someone uses it, it is forbidden. Li Longji spoke. Everyone do not spread it out or teach it. Once someone figured it out, immediately tell them that it was not allowed. Kill both big and small. When the human race was exterminated, even the children had to be left behind, such as Yangtze Sun. The capital government's water net also needed to raise fish. They were afraid that one day there would be no fish to catch. Everyone in the large private room nodded in unison, indicating that they understood. Xiao Yi, don't use this kind of technique. Bai Gu was helpless. If you can't use it even if you say it, what else can you say? There are smart people who can figure it out and take precautions in advance. Li muttered and sped up his eating. After the meal, the officials went to work. Li Longji was not in a hurry to correct the memorials. He went to the dock with Li Yi. Princess Yongmu was next to Li Yi. Her guards were all taken away by Xiaolan. She was worried that Xiaolan would be at a disadvantage if there was a conflict. The order she gave Xiaolan was a kill order. As long as there was a fight, she was not allowed to hold back. The yacht came out of the artificial lake and entered the river. This was not a matter of firepower, but of coordination. Everyone did not pretend to be ordinary people. They could not. The size of the team was too big. Li Dan did not go. She went with noble consort Lu to see her son, Li Longji's younger brother. There was a big age difference. With noble consort Lu's lifelong regret, she could also give birth to a child. So there was nothing wrong with being the Empress Dowager. Lu Jiyu's child, Princess Yongmu's younger brother, was also with them. The two babies were about the same age, but they were one generation apart. There are so many people. Is there enough space? Li Longji walked slowly to help with digestion. In the past 2 days he was much more cheerful. He was not in a hurry to find important people. There is not enough space south of the Yellow River. North of the Yellow River, when the bridge is built, there will be people to settle there. The government should divide the land and not collect money. Li Yi was not worried about the lack of space. After the Yellow River Bridge was built, it was convenient to travel. Some people looked at the price of the land and went to the other side. That side did not collect money, and they could build their own houses. However, the bridge could not be used by trains. The pier could be supported, and the bridge had low requirements. It could be used for carriages first. The rest could be dealt with later. Things had to be arranged step by step. After crossing the bridge, it would not belong to Hebei Province. It would still belong to Hunan Province. The division of Hunan Province was smaller than that of Hunan Province. Hunan Province included Shandong Province. Good. Li Longji's eyebrows relaxed. When the time comes, the road in Hebei Province will be built. The Khitans and the Shi people will be attracted to move inwards. That's right. There has been no drought in recent years. Even if there is little rain in the east of Taihang Mountains, the wells will be able to solve it. The Yellow River flood will not happen in the near future. If it happens again in the future, the Tang dynasty will not be afraid. When the time comes, the roads will be smooth, and it will be easy to travel to and from other places. Besides, we have to find a way to solve the Yellow River flood problem. Li Yi knew a lot about the great migration of ethnic groups. He also knew that the precipitation in Shandong Province, which was the east of Taihang Mountains, was still low. But there were no locusts. The people wanted the locusts to come again. The kind that was large because there were many poultry and livestock. As long as the color of the locusts did not become so scary, they could be fed. In fact, if some of the locusts changed color, they could still eat chickens. It was just that they ate less. After all, they were still meat. Li Longji smiled brightly. When the time comes, will they be planting rice there? No, they will be planting wheat, rape, corn, and sorghum. Li Yi shook his head. What kind of rice? Hebei Province was the most suitable place for growing wheat. There was also Shandong. This latitude was especially good for growing wheat. Brother Yi, which one is better? Corn and potatoes? Li Longji asked. Li Yi was conflicted. You asked me which one is better? Steamed buns and rice? Corn is easy to store. Its yield is higher than other crops. It is more suitable for many kinds of environments. It needs less care than other crops. Potatoes have a higher yield, but they can only be stored for a short period of time. They are not suitable to be used as fodder. Therefore, potatoes will be used as a non-staple food for a long time, although it can be used as a staple food. In the cold regions of the north, both corn and potatoes are needed. It is not a choice. Li Yi once again emphasized the storage problem of both sides. He smacked his lips. He wanted to eat fine corn flour pancakes and then salted fish. Since this was the case, why did he let down the slope when he was paid so much? If you dare to do this again, get lost and go back to work. Li Yi did not give him any face. Yes, yes, yes. The person wiped his tears and went back. No one sympathized with him. Dongzhu. Wang Xiaoxi came over and squatted down. You can just stand there. I don't feel inferior. Li Yi laughed. Wang Xiaoxi was too tall. Feng Yu laughed, because he remembered the short president of Gaul country. That person was the one who allowed people to attack his country's Olympic torch team. That person had low self-esteem, and was not like the other president of his country. He did not care about the height of the people around him. That president of Gaul country was afraid people would think he was short. When he was selecting people, he would pick people who were short. That person was not short because of his height. He was short because of his ambition. Who would think that president of his country was short? He was tall and strong. He insisted on opening up and reform. He was a giant. Now Feng Yu was being treated like a kid. More importantly, this Xiaoxi seemed to have grown taller. 3 meters? 35 meters? Why don't I organize a basketball competition? You are so big, but you are still so agile. You will be invincible under the basket. Li Yi thought, and said what was in his heart. Dongzhu, what competition? Is it football? I can't do it. They always pass through my crotch. When I take a step, the ball will pass me. Wang Xiaoxi misunderstood, and thought it was football. He could not do this, and became a goalkeeper. He was very useful as he was agile. He was most afraid of being passed through his crotch. It was too tall. Li Yi waved his hand. It is another type of ball. The amount of movement is not lesser than football. It might even be more intense. Your joints. You were born in the wrong era. Li Yi noticed that Wang Xiaoxi, who had grown taller, could run and jump. If it was him, he would be at least 3 meters tall. You are the best under the basket. Others will cry when they see you. Born in the wrong era? No. Oh, I know. Dongzhu, I feel that my current situation is good. With you around, I am only in my early 20s. I was born in the right era. Wang Xiaoxi smiled. He actually understood what Feng Yu meant. Let's have lunch together. What do you want to eat? Li Yi smiled and nodded. I had eaten braised lion's head in brown sauce once. Wang Xiaoxi blushed. He felt embarrassed to talk about food. No problem. I will cook. I will make a bunch of it. At the same time, I will measure your height. Look, your pants are too short. Li Yi agreed and cooked for him. Wang Xiaoxi had indeed grown taller. From his pants, it was 1 inch shorter. Chapter 2183. The people at the pier continued to work. Li Yi started to process the meat. Braised meatballs must be authentic. He cooked personally. Z, if you have nothing else to do, help me cut the meat. I will handle it here. You need to cut along the stubble. I will process it again, but the granules are stronger. Li Yi explained the details differently from the 4 happiness meatballs. From the selection of ingredients to the processing method to the final dripping sauce. They were all different. When eating, the texture and taste were different. Also, there was a difference between steaming and braising. The key was the blanching. You can't say which one was authentic, and which one was not. Li Yi admired the person who could blanch the meatballs. He could actually prevent the meatballs from scattering. The mincing machine is faster. Guozi cooperated. At the same time, he told Li Yi that he had a better way. Do you think I don't know the equipment? No. The minced meat is suitable for making steamed buns, dumplings, wontons, and meatballs. Z, do you know? Our Chinese cuisine is extensive and profound. It is the best in the world. Everyone admits that it is about meticulousness, learning, changing, and improving. Food is the most important thing for the people. When food is compatible with the world, our hearts are also compatible with the world. As Li Yi spoke, the big kitchen knife in his hand spun a few rounds. The knife was beautiful. Guozi frowned. Li Dongzhu, I admit what you said. But your actions just now were redundant, and had many loopholes. When you are brandishing the knife, you rely on inertia. If the enemy suddenly appears at another angle of your knife, you will not have time to turn your wrist. The real knife is like this. Look, the tip of the knife is always pointing at one position. The angle can be adjusted at any time. It is a small flower, not a big flower. When Guozi was speaking, he was holding the kitchen knife in his hand. The kitchen knife was always in a downward position. He was pinching it with his fingers. When you look at it, you can't tell which direction the knife is going. No matter where you are, you will feel that the knife will fly towards you. Li Yi, I am talking to you about cooking well, and you are talking to me about getting rid of the enemy? If you are so capable, let's enter the operating room and see who is better with the scalpel. However, he had to admit that Guizi's kitchen knife was frightening. After changing positions a few times, he still realized that the knife would be thrown at him in an instant. How's work recently? On the other side, Li Longji asked Wang Xiaoxi and Li Daniu to sit down. He did not care about his height. Zhang Juling was slightly shorter, but who would talk about his height? Now I'm learning. There's quite a lot of content in management. Daniel is better at it than me, but he said he's more willing to manage the accounts. I'll teach him the rest. Wang Xiaoxi was a little reserved. He looked at his good brother when he answered. Now that the two of you have settled down, do you want to find a woman to marry? Li Longji asked about their marriage plans. There's a woman who fell into the water a few days ago. We saved her and she's now. Daniu, she hasn't eaten yet, right? Wang Xiaoxi's face turned red. Not yet. Can we come together? Wang Xiaoxi smiled. All right. Li Longji nodded. Princess Yongmu frowned. She didn't know why, but she frowned. In the afternoon, Li Yi made a lot of braised pork balls. The rest of the braised pork balls were made by other people. Everyone ate happily. Li Longji couldn't eat Li Yi's cooking every day. Li Lang. Princess Yongmu whispered to Li Yi. Yes. Li Yi replied. Just now, your third brother asked about finding a wife for two people. Then they said. Princess Yongmu didn't know how to describe her feelings. She could only tell the whole story. Sigh. Li Yi sighed. When Tian, let me hum for you. The waves run, the waves flow, the river flows endlessly. Li Yi hummed a song for Princess Yongmu. On the beach. I'm still willing to turn over hundreds and thousands of waves. My heart is full. Princess Yongmu took it and hummed softly. There's a poem that I copied. It's like this. Li Yi wasn't a teacher who taught on the board. He chose to talk about some content from the side. Normal language teachers wouldn't use this method. It wasn't that they didn't know how to, but that the loss outweighed the gain. In private tutoring, they would see how much the other party's parents were willing to pay before choosing to teach. He was willing to recruit many people now. He couldn't ask Princess Yongmu for tuition fees. The fragrance of the red lotus leaves the jade in the autumn, gently undressing and boarding the orchid boat alone. Who sent a brocade letter in the clouds? When the swallow returns, the moon fills the western tower. The flowers drift and the water flows. A kind of lovesickness, two places of idle sorrow. This feeling can't be eliminated. Just when I frown, it rises in my heart. This is from the graceful school. It uses all the characteristics, the intention is very strong. However, it can't be compared to what we sing. I'm still willing to turn over hundreds and thousands of waves, my heart is full. This is the ambition of the swallow, acknowledging everything in the world, but never surrendering. As for a woman, both men are interested. Like a 1,000-mile horse. What's the difference between two heroes competing? Li Yi used Li Qingzhao's lyrics as an analogy. Li Qingzhao is passive and graceful. And the lyrics of the Shanghai beach are actually a kind of unyielding. Yes, life is like this. I'm going to rise and fall in such waves. I'm going to enjoy this process. All the love, hate, and sorrow will accompany this life and never look back. Oh. Chapter 2184. Delicious, fragrant mmmmm. Wang Xiaoxi snorted as he ate. He ate in a refined manner, and did not eat a whole braised meatball in one bite. He used his chopsticks to split the meatball in half, and ate half at a time. The sixth meatball was already in his stomach. Most importantly, he also ate a big bowl of rice with the braised meatball sauce. Li Longji was happy to see this. It was so fragrant. He felt that he could eat more. Li Daniu used his chopsticks to chop a meatball into 4 pieces, and then cut each piece in the middle. However, his speed was not slow at all. He ate the third meatball, and also ate other dishes. He finished half a bowl of rice. It turned out that there was a woman sitting beside him. Princess Yongmu came over to whisper a few words to Wu Jiyu. The woman was called by Wu Jiyu to eat nearby. Wu Jiyu was in a good mood. Li Yi, you came to beg me? You know my ability, right? This woman did not look right at first glance. Her eyebrows and eyes were open, but she still pretended to be a woman from the palace. She was a woman from an ordinary family, but she deliberately did not put on her light makeup properly. Her eyes occasionally moved, but they quickly returned to normal. This was instinctive. It was the result of practicing too many times. It was not easy to change it. Her ability was still lacking. She could not compare to the big shots in Pyongkong Square. Those people were dignified, pure and charming. Ching-er, did the chickens you raised at home have more eggs now? Wu Jiu chatted. Ching-er's surname was Hu, and her maiden name was Ching-er. She originally lived in Dongta County, Xianzhou, which was the place where iron ore was mined Mount Monshan. Xuanzhou's paper was also very famous in Chang'an. It was not named Xian paper yet. Painters would apply a layer of glue on the Xian paper to control the color of the ink when painting. However, the Li family Zhuangzi's papermaking technique was not only his own, but also someone else's secret recipe. Hu Qing arrived in Luoyang this year with a large group of people. She no longer had parents in her family. She only had one brother. Her brother married her sister-in-law. Her sister-in-law despised her, so she left. After arriving in Luoyang, she made a living by weaving and embroidery. She sold the silver jewelry her parents left behind as dowry and bought a small courtyard outside the city. There were 2 dilapidated houses in the courtyard. She also went to the government office to collect chicken chicks and duck chicks to raise. The government office gave them free of charge. Each person had 10 chicks of each type. They did not need any goose seedlings. The number of chickens and ducks could be adjusted. 10 days ago, she was tired from her embroidery and came out to release the ducklings. She accidentally fell into the Luo River and happened to land at the moment when Li Daniu and Wang Xiaoxi were at the shore. It's that simple? Deposit? Oh, betrothal gifts? How can Wen Tian's family be so powerful? She can do whatever she wants. As long as Wen Tian is living well, her father will be at ease. Wen Tian, did you hear that? You're not worth much. You're only worth a little bit of your life. How much money can buy my life? Princess Yongmu stared at her father. You ate a lot of potatoes in the past. Li Longji stared back at her. Third brother, you mean that after the new year, my Wen Tian and I can... Isn't the new year just one day after another? What does it mean to live together? Have you heard of celebrating the new year? Okay, we'll celebrate the new year. Next year, we'll get more and more days. Li understood. Li Lang, I'll go to the front to take a look. Princess Yongmu felt that the situation was not right and ran to the front shyly. After the new year, she'll be 1 year older. Li Yi said to Li Longji. Up to you. Is this thing really useful? Li Longji did not care. Anyway, I've given you my daughter. I don't have to worry about you. Throughout history, there has never been a son-in-law like you who personally went to the kitchen to cook delicious food and make underwear. More importantly, there are so many masters in Southern Melody, but you can still resist. When you have nothing to do, you even compose a poem or a song. My daughter has to marry someone eventually. I'm not satisfied with marrying someone else. I'll give it to you. Only after love do you know how deep the wine is. After getting drunk, you know how strong the wine is. After using it, your body and mind will naturally obey. Can it be collected if it's scattered elsewhere? It's quite cheap. You can use it as you wish. There's no need to worry about wasting it. What about those people who are watching? The drones are managing it from the sky, including Ron, Guazi, and the others who went back have completed their mission. They don't need to go anymore. Why do I feel more tired than fighting Tubo and the later Turks? The relationship between near and far involves oneself. There's a sense of insecurity. That's why it's tiring. Li Yi was also tired. During the war at the border, he provided the baggage and military equipment technical support. He did not care about the specific battles. Now that he was facing a conspiracy, he had to come up with specific methods. So if there was a war, try not to fight on home ground. The advantage of fighting on home ground was the geographical advantage and the combination of people. It was not a problem to win, but the losses were too great. Brother E, write a song for Ying. Oh, it's Princess Jinxian. Good, the flowers don't bloom for long. If they can be plucked, they must be plucked. It's not compatible with etiquette, right? Whose etiquette? Li Longji shouted. You've suppressed Buddhism. Do you care about Confucianism? Don't you just want to see the imperial family? Chapter 2186. Don't try to scare me. Bai Gu blew his beard and glared. He took out something that looked like unpurified crystal sugar from his sleeve. If that large piece of sugar was replaced by crystal sugar, it would weigh 2 caddies. Looking at Bai Gu's expression, it was obviously not 2 caddies. Gold ore? Gold nugget? Princess Yomu's eyes lit up when she saw the item. The item was beautiful and was golden. Li glanced at it. This is called pyrite ferrous disulfide. Not bad, it is good for extracting sulfur. Where did you find this ore? It is valuable. I have the skills to process it. Iron. It looks so beautiful. How can it be iron? Bai Gu could not take it. He thought it was a large piece of gold. Old Bai, don't be anxious. With the current industrial base, this is more useful than gold. If there is no gold, I can use other things as collateral to print coupons. With the current level of industrial development, I cannot use gold. In fact, there might be gold, silver, or copper in the mines. Where did it come from? Luoyang. Crouching Bull Mountain area. There should be some there. Li comforted Bai Gu. It was good stuff, he was happy. Valuable? You are not lying to me? Bai Gu was disappointed. He thought it was a large piece of gold. It is not valuable in other people's hands, but in the hands of the Li family Zhuangzi, it is valuable. I have the skills. Li promised. Old Bai, don't cry. Bai Gu stretched out his hand. You take it. If it is valuable, you take it. Come, wrap it up and carry it. Old Bai, wash your hands. It contains sulfur, and is irritating to the skin. Li did not take it. My hands are clean, and I do not want to wash them again. Ching Song came over, and took out a blue handkerchief to wrap the ore. Bai Gu looked at his hands and shook his sleeves. Xiao Yi, why didn't you say so earlier? Will I fall sick? Don't worry. If you fall sick, I will treat you. Li Yi continued to comfort him. Aren't you going to do something bad to me if I disturb you? Bai Gu expressed his doubts. What good news? When Tian was thirsty, and there was no water nearby, I decided to help her out. It's the same as artificial respiration. Bah! How can you forget about me in Jianghu? Bai Zhongshu, you were born in Jianghu, how can you forget Jianghu? The mortal world is like a tide. People are like water. Only a few people in Jianghu can return. Princess Yomu was not happy. This old man will wash his hands of the golden basin, and find someone to sing laughter of the vast sea. Bai Gu used this sentence to escape. Dongzhu this stone. Ching Song held the stone, which weighed 5 or 6 jin. Looks like old Bai, and the others aren't willing to just sit around and wait for food. They sent people to explore the mines. Put it in the box. It was impossible for Li Yi to pick up the stone. It didn't matter if it weighed a few kilograms in the beginning, but it would get tiring after a long time. Luckily, Yuan didn't lean on the wrong person. I will execute his entire family. Li Longji answered. Li didn't have the time to think about his father-in-law's thoughts. He squatted down and grabbed the soil, pinched it, smelled it, and then put it into a small bag. He wouldn't taste it, not because he couldn't taste it, but because he was afraid of parasites. The degree of the soil could be tasted. He had tasted it before, but now it was dry. The onlookers felt that Li Dongzhu was the most handsome at this moment. What could be better about our soil? What could be added? The onlookers saw Li Yi's actions, and knew that Li Yi's purpose was to help look at the soil. Previously, there was a test paper to compare the acid and alkali. It was the kind used for steaming buns. Dongzhu, don't fall. That place was covered with mud before. It was raining. You guys came over and spread the soil. There's only one layer. Someone knew the situation and reminded him loudly. He couldn't wait to pick up the stones in his yard and spread them under Li Yi's feet. Li Yi got up and lifted one of his feet. The sole of his shoe was shiny and full of texture. Then he exerted strength from his waist and used a spinning kick. His body flew 360 degrees and landed steadily on one leg. Good. Dongzhu is amazing. Another one. Shut up, what if another one falls? Who shouted for another one? Hit him. Li Yi cupped his fists and walked forward to continue looking at the soil. Hu Qing, or looked on in a daze. She wanted to say something a few times, but she held back. A 5 or 6-year-old child rushed over with a small fire shovel in his hand. It was a tool used to dig out dust from under the stove. There was no one around to stop him. Guizi frowned and relaxed. He judged that the other party was a child and not a short adult. Dongju here. Sometimes I don't dare to go to the outhouse to poop. I'm afraid I'll fall in. After I'm done, I'll scoop it up and throw it into the manure pit. The child handed Li the small fire shovel and explained how to use it. The child didn't go to the outhouse for fear of falling in. He would poop outside and scoop it in. You can always see earthworms, right? I can see them with a scoop. There's also a small black worm that makes a ridge on the ground. Li took the tool and asked, "Yes, it's so long. If you accidentally cut it in half, you can still climb. There are worms too, but they're very small." The child had found a confidant. Whatever he saw, Dongju knew. "I can smell the soap on your body. Your little hands are white. You blew bubbles, right? Did you put the bubbles on an ant? And then the ant shrank into a small ball?" Li looked at the child and sniffed as he asked, "You know this too?" The child opened his eyes wide. "My parents don't ask me. I'm just playing with it secretly. Because ants and spiders are acidic. If you touch them with something alkaline, they will be neutralized. They will die. If you want to know the specific reasons, study hard. When you learn well in school, there will be more things to teach you, including why some incense dishes can drive away mosquitoes, or smoke them to death, and how to catch mice." Li didn't talk to the child about the preciousness of life. That was too far away. He was guiding the child to understand the world, and to study hard. This was a teacher with deep knowledge and care. It wasn't like when one graduated from the normal school, and passed the examination, or got a place through connections. Then, one had to learn the process of other people's lectures, and prepare for the lessons. That wasn't a teacher. It was a part of the business relationship. It wasn't that easy to be a teacher, and there were many people who sold their identity in the business. They shouldn't be called teachers. Whenever I gently walk past your window, how many teachers could ask themselves if they were worthy of this song? As for Li Shangyin's spring silkworm, until the end of the thread, until the candle turns to ashes, until the tears dry up. Then he was thinking too much. He wasn't writing about a teacher. Don't grab something and throw it at yourself. Li was now a teacher. He guided the child. He didn't need the child's academic results to prove his title. It also didn't affect his income. His salary was given out every time. If Sun Xian hadn't thought of it, he wouldn't have gotten it. The money was too little. Sun Xian wasn't willing to care. The children didn't know so many things. They just felt that Dongju was good and explained things to them. Many things they didn't understand before. They understood once Dongju explained. "Dongju, when I sleep now, I keep hearing gurgling sounds from the ground. My parents gave me medicine. I drank the medicine, but I can still hear it." A child ran up and said, looking very wronged. As they talked, they realized that Jiu Lang, who had entered Fu Jiafang, did not come out. Did he drink himself to death? To the north of Fu Jiafang is Xuanshan Square. Dig a tunnel. Just dig there. Li thought of a situation. After he's saved, I'll drag him outside and kill him. Li didn't even pause for a second. Saving people was medical ethics. Kill is the enemy, the two do not conflict. Of course, it doesn't matter if we don't manage to save him. It'll save us a lot of trouble. I reckon that our mentality will be affected when we try to save him, and we might not be able to use our skills as well. Li admitted to another situation. His mentality was different. He was thinking about things while saving people. It was a kind of involuntary. Drink. Let's watch for another half an hour. If he doesn't come out, we'll go back and rest. Li Longji gave the peeled prawns to Li. Eat. I'll bring Yuan out to play tomorrow. Light snow fell quietly before dawn. It melted as soon as it landed on the ground. It was still drifting nonstop. It's -2 degrees Celsius. The three of us will sell roasted sweet potatoes after breakfast. We can't eat too much sweet potatoes in the morning. Our stomachs won't feel good. Li Yi was drinking pumpkin and crab porridge. He sent a message yesterday. There were many crabs in Haizhou. They were big in size and had little meat. They couldn't be used to eat meat, but they were suitable for making porridge. They arrived at Li family Zhuangzi before dawn. 2 carriages of Zhuangzi were enough to make porridge. There were too many people. The naturalized guards in the southwest, the more than 60,000 people in Bohai, the people in Zhuangzi, the families of the court officials, and the people in the palace. A big crab was cut into 4 pieces and boiled in the porridge. Everyone could get at least 3 pieces. However, there was still meat in the crab's small claws and big pincers. There was so much meat that they could cook for lunch and give it to the children as snacks. How much is it per caddy? Princess Yongmu found it difficult to set the price. If it was set too high, ordinary people couldn't afford it. If it was set too low, she felt that it was a loss. 1 coin per caddy. Each person can buy at most half a caddy of roasted sweet potatoes at a discounted price. If you want to buy more, it'll be 10 coins per caddy. The roasted sweet potatoes we take out are small. We'll leave the seeds for the big ones. No matter what the reason is, we'll pick out the small ones to eat. When the time comes, we'll set up the equipment and take photos. Everyone can sell roasted sweet potatoes for a second time at a cheaper price. Li gave the price. Everyone could buy half a caddy for 50 cents. Is it high or low? Xiao Long couldn't tell. It's high. 10 coins per caddy. When we promote it, we say that 1 mu of land can produce a few thousand caddies. Others think that it's 10 coins per caddy. Li Yi told the 2 of them. He deliberately set the price like that. The price of roasted sweet potatoes and sweet potatoes were very different. There were all kinds of breeds, including the Tibetan Mastiff that he had bragged about. But it was useless. Tibetan Mastiffs were only powerful in highland climates, and they had to be raised normally, not as pets. None of them were as psychic as the mountain guard dogs around the car. It was not a problem with the dogs, but with the humans. As for which breed of dog was more powerful, Li Yi had never made a comparison. It was meaningless. It was just like which breed of dog was more powerful. Could an individual represent a group? There were also mountain guard dogs in Zhuangzi, but he didn't bring them with him. They were used to guard Zhuangzi. When patrolling, he brought other dogs with him. Only then did his dog dream come true. He didn't like all dogs. Now he could bring the big dogs in Zhuangzi to Luoyang Palace. He didn't dare to do that in the past. If the big dogs entered the city and bit people, it would be troublesome. If they bit people, someone would take a picture and post it on the internet. If they said something, they would be investigated. If they investigated and found that they were selling medical equipment, would there be a problem? Of course there would be a problem. If there was a big problem, how much money would it cost to settle it? The key was which committee was unhappy. What if they found out that it was him? Is this how you do things? Li Lang, will the dogs be scalded when they eat the roasted sweet potatoes? Princess Yongmu also liked mountain guard dogs. In fact, except for people with special circumstances, everyone liked them. Just like police dogs, military dogs, and rescue dogs, people who didn't like dogs also approved of the dogs' identities. The dogs are not stupid. How could they not know the temperature? But let's try to break apart the roasted sweet potatoes. This way, they will cool down faster and easier for the dogs to eat. Li Yi didn't worry about the mountain guard dogs. Even if the dogs were in a daze, would the people who brought the dogs be in a daze too? At around 9 o'clock, everyone arrived at Grief Tianfang. Another person was pushed out and died. When the weather changed greatly, the death rate increased. Some people were already dying. When it was warm, they were taken care of. When it suddenly became cold, the temperature difference brought about a change in air pressure. In this case, it was useless to save them. Many of their organs had already failed. They were just waiting for that moment. Li Lang, will something happen to old Mr. Mu this year? Princess Yongmu looked at the few people who were pushed out. One of them looked like her grandfather. How is that possible? Old Mr. Mu is in good health. He is in a good mood. How old is he? His nominal age is 57. According to the current situation, I guarantee that he will live to be 80 years old. The premise is that he doesn't leave Zhuangzi. In the past he was worried. Mental illness was the hardest to treat. Thus, everyone smiled as if their own children had been cured. Tell the children in Henan Prefecture to come over for a physical examination. There are so many nurses, they will be in charge. In addition, pregnant women could also come for a checkup free of charge. We should increase the number of nurses. I will expand the hospital. Li looked at Xia Yahua and thought of other children. As for pregnant women, they had to be checked as well. If they found something wrong, they had to get rid of it quickly, so that they could not give birth. It had nothing to do with ethics. It was about the family's ability to bear it. If a child was born with a congenital disability, the child would suffer, the parents would suffer, and they would have to bear the criticism of others. Social welfare did not keep up, and all the suffering was borne by one family. There were even some women who weren't suitable for childbirth and would die. Still, no one responded. They just went to make arrangements. Brother Dongzhu, can I eat roasted sweet potatoes? It smells good. Zhuozhuo was hungry. Yes, you can eat whatever you want. Li Yi smiled and nodded. After saying that, he realized that something was wrong and added, I can guarantee that you won't have a problem eating anything. He remembered that under normal circumstances, when patients were told what they could not eat or do, their emotions were relatively stable. Once you told them that they could eat whatever they wanted and do whatever they wanted, as long as their financial conditions allowed, it was like the court passing a death sentence and carrying it out immediately. The court's immediate execution allowed you to appeal after the second trial. But the doctor said, this second trial was the last hope of finding a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. However, the probability was very low. It was as low as winning the lottery. Zhuozhuo did not know what Li Yi was thinking. She felt better. Someone next to her inserted something into her nose. It was something like a pillow, and it was comfortable to breathe. Hurry up and give me roasted sweet potatoes. I saw how others ate them. When they opened the sweet potatoes, honey juice flowed out. Can I eat it now? Zhuozhuo knew how to hint. Qingdai understood. She found a roasted sweet potato that she thought was good, blew it open, and shared half with Zhuozhuo. It's sweet. After taking a bite, Zhuozhuo narrowed her eyes. After taking 2 bites, she said, I'm always sleepy and have no strength. I want to sleep. Otherwise, I can learn more. Are you and Guizong taking the children's exam? You can take the exam next year too. Grandpa Bai and the others will be in charge of the exam. It's interesting. Let's go together. Feng Qingdai felt that she had found a good partner. They had the same illness and were equally good at studying. The difference was that this little sister, who was less than a year older than her, was not born into a medical family. She used to have the same symptoms. However, there was medicine that could alleviate the symptoms and not cure the root cause. She would have more time to learn. Are the Zaifu really the examiners? Aren't you afraid? I haven't seen them before. Today is the first time I see Brother Dongzhu, but he seems very familiar. Zhuozhuo was not Li Guizong. She had no respect for the Zaifu. She felt that those people were high and mighty. She had never seen any of them before. When she saw Brother Dongzhu today, she did not feel unfamiliar when she saw him. It seemed that this was how it should be. Yes, I was the same in the past. I saw how charming Qingshan was, and I expected Qingshan to see me in the same way. Feng Qingdai nodded. They were indeed similar. That's right, that's right. Everything has its own way. It's like a dream. It's like mist and lightning. It should be like this. Zhuozhuo found a close friend and a good sister. The people who were queuing up to sell cheap roasted sweet potatoes were depressed. Why didn't they talk properly? Was this the world of the top students? The key was that the 2 girls were saying that their daughters were still learning pinyin and were about the same age. Let's take the exam together. First, we'll take the children's exam, then the Jinshu exam. Let me tell you, the Jinshu exam is very simple. I know all about it. Then is this considered cheating? Your brother Dongzhu. Yes, your disciple. He just needs to tell you. Even if I don't answer a single question, I'll tell the examiner to bring the women here for me to help check their bodies. They have to let me pass. Yes, 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 I remember. It was written in the newspaper that we girls are encouraged to study medicine. You're an external official of the Imperial Medical Department and the Empress's Palace. Have you been to the Empress's Palace? I've been there once. It's boring. They're all gone. They've all run to Zhuangzi. I just went there to see the layout. I'm always sleepy and want to sleep. What medicine should I take? I've bought the medicine in the medical books I read. It's not very useful. Medical books are dead, but people are alive. It's better to have no books than to believe in books. Come home with us and have a thorough check. I'll let you have a good new year. Okay. I'll take the children's exam with you too next year. The two girls who were about the same age chatted and decided to take the children's exam. The people queuing up to buy roasted sweet potatoes were silent. Children's exam was an invitation? Find a partner to take the exam together. I'm repaying a debt of gratitude. It's different. How can I let them stay for long? If someone steals food, that's not a problem. I steal food too. Before I stole it, I was with Lil Miss said okay, I want to eat meat. They didn't even inform us when they were stealing. Are you secretly eating, or are you hiding it from your master? Xiaolan tried her best to organize her words to describe her situation at that time. She had stolen something and told Princess Yongmu about it. Everyone thought that Princess Yongmu was a fool. Therefore, she thought of a way to get rid of such people. When there was little food, she and Princess Yongmu were like sisters. She always ate the worst food. But now it was different. She also ate similar food as Princess Yongmu. The two of them could live together. So some of their habits were the same. On this side, the two beautiful girls were attacking others. On the other side, the people in Grieffield Square were eating roasted sweet potatoes. Some people were not allowed to eat them. Their gastrointestinal tract was not good to begin with. If they ate more, they would have to be hospitalized. Blind Sure and the others also ate. Their bodies were in good health. And the dogs were even more fine. A roasted sweet potato was left cold for the dogs to eat. The dogs squinted their eyes when they licked it. Why did they feel that it was more fragrant than bones? Then Li Yi and the others realized that there were many rich people. They asked for a pile of sweet potatoes. They looked at the quality of the sweet potatoes, chose a few and paid the bill. Li Yi smiled and looked at them. Some sweet potatoes were not good. They were not sandy but watery. He could tell. In the end, those rich people looked as if they knew very well and bought them. Li Lang, are they stupid? They bought a lot of bad sweet potatoes, and there are beauties beside them. Aren't they afraid of being looked down upon? Princess Yongmu was picking sweet potatoes for the children. The best roasted sweet potatoes had a dry outer skin that needed to be peeled off. The inner layer was half a centimeter, relatively dry and hard, and the inner layer was juicy. Different people had different understandings of taste. Li liked to eat the dry and hard ones the most. The inner ones were too sweet, and the texture was too soft. It was like eating boiled corn, he said. Many people liked to eat the tender ones. When his family used to grow corn, they did not eat the tender ones. They ate the hard ones that could be rubbed out in a row. He felt that the tender ones were soft. The texture was not good, but the taste was good. When he ate the corn, he would boil it and heat it up in the microwave. Then, he would eat the corn grain by grain as a side dish. He bought a lot of green corn for the children in the schools in the county and towns, where he wanted to sell equipment. He even built pig farms in some towns. He did not pursue the profits of the pig farms. He used all the money to cook for the children. It was easy for someone who could make connections with the medical system to make connections with the local towns. The local children also liked to eat the hard ones, because they could eat for a while longer. It was that simple. Li was making money locally. The farms in this town were the hometown of the people he needed to make connections with. It was stupid to give money directly. When he was selling medical equipment and earning tens or hundreds of times the profit, he invested in the hometown of others. No one could find fault with this. He really spent money to raise pigs and chickens to solve part of the employment problem. The animals he raised also provided healthy food for the local primary and secondary school students, with corporate welfare subsidies. Therefore, Li was calm. He had never spoiled the children. He supported the local education, so much that the local government wrote the Book of 10,000 People for him. The court did not dare to sentence him. When he was not sentenced by the court, The local children ate well, wore good clothes, had many toys, and did not lack sports equipment. The court also trembled in this situation. Arrest him? If he was sentenced, the local government would not have the previous benefits. The key was that Li Yi was not a traitor. What reason could they find to arrest him? The key was how to clean up after the arrest. It was quite troublesome. Whoever was dissatisfied with him and wanted to teach him how to be a person, he would get the news in advance and give the other party benefits. If the other party took the benefits and said that he did not know how to be a person, he would give the other party more benefits and let the other party know who did not know how to be a person. Dongzhu, come here. A small robot ran over and wanted to whisper to Li Yi. Li Yi did not explain at all and directly pushed the small robot away. We found 2 targets. They are very troublesome. The other party's layout is too deep. The small robot reported to Li Yi. What's the difference? Li Yi wanted to find a screen to look at. The mastermind and the accomplice. Some accomplices will act under the banner of a family that they should not have. The small robot replied. That is to say, the other party's layout is very deep, and even some members of the big families are involved. But they don't know the problem? Yes, because that religion is too powerful. I'll tell you when you go back. The small robot said. Li Yi took the loudspeaker and said, starting from next year, sweet potatoes will be planted in some of the good areas. Except for the small sweet potatoes that don't look good. The rest will be purchased by the imperial court as seeds to be planted in other places of the Tang dynasty. Our Henan prefecture is one of the seed production bases. After the new year, it will be written in the newspaper. Choose a piece of land for planting and discuss with someone who has the title deed. Li Yi told him the plan. Next year, they would still get seeds, but they could eat less. He believed that the commoners would understand that they couldn't eat the seeds. All right, Li Dongzhu, sweet potatoes. How many batches can you plant in a year? The commoner shouted again. Li Yi, can you not interrupt like that? What do you mean by Li Dongzhu, sweet potatoes? You're the sweet potato. You're the sweet potato. It's about the same as other crops. 1 batch in the north and 2 in the south. Li Yi cursed inwardly, but he still had to answer. Li Dongzhu, sweet potatoes. How many seeds do you need for 1 mu of land? The man continued to ask. Li Yi took a deep breath. We generally use 38 to 40 caddies of seeds for 1 mu of land. 1 mu of land is 540 square meters, so 1 caddy is 640 grams. Li Yi calculated as he spoke. 1 mu of land used to plant sweet potato seedlings was about 30 kilograms, or 60 caddies, or 500 grams per caddy. In the Tang dynasty, 1 mu of land was small, but 1 caddy was large. After conversion, it was 38 caddies, or 640 grams per caddy. Li Yi checked the information. He had to do the conversion himself. Otherwise, it would be a waste and a scam. The commoners trusted the Li family Zhuangzi. If there were more seeds, the commoners would eat less. Furthermore, if there were more mineral fertilizers, it would cause damage to the land. The information stated that 1 mu of land should use 200 caddies of phosphate fertilizer, so he directly copied it. In the end, the large amount of phosphate fertilizer used exceeded the quota by 0.58 times, which was equivalent to more than 310 caddies of phosphate fertilizer per mu of land. Not only did they spend more money, but the effect was also reduced. Li Dongzhu, sweet potatoes. Do they need to be watered? The man still had a question. Li Yi had already calmed down. The amount of water to be watered depends on the lack of water in the land. If there's a lot of rain, it'll have to be drained. The newspapers will write about it. The newspapers will write about it? If I'd known, I wouldn't have asked. The man who asked regretted it. It seemed that speaking more would be a loss to him. This was what the saying meant. Li Yi glanced at him and considered whether or not he should ask the drone to keep an eye on him. Then he would beat him up at night and put him in a sack. As they spoke, another batch of sweet potatoes was roasted. It wasn't like when they were sold normally. The roasted sweet potatoes here were sold 1 batch at a time. They tried their best to choose the same size and cook them together. I'll buy 1,000 caddies. Someone came over and threw a stack of money into the money box. In the end, when the wind blew the snow, the exchange coupons were blown to the ground. The surroundings were quiet. Everyone looked at him. He shuddered, for someone had drawn a bow and pointed it at him, and knocked an arrow. As if they had sensed their master's thoughts, at least 20 mountain guard dogs next to him lowered their bodies and stared at him, without making a sound. Okay, Li Yi said as he stepped forward and picked up the falling coupons. He wiped the snow on his clothes and put it in his pocket. Behind him, someone brought a new white coat for him to change into, and washed his hands with medical alcohol. The man's reaction was slow. He wanted to pick up the coupons, but he was too scared to keep up. Li picked up a sweet potato and weighed it. It's exactly 1,000 caddies. Come over and see if it's enough. It's enough. I don't need to look at the scale to know that it's too much. Li Dongzhu's hand that weighed it was raised high. Thank you, Li Dongzhu. The man nodded vigorously. There was nothing wrong with it. It was too much. Because the person who collected the money was Princess Yongmu. Should he throw the money on the ground and ask Princess Yongmu to pick it up? Should he throw a bone for Her Majesty to eat? Here, it's wrapped up. Li wrapped it in a piece of paper and handed it over. The man took it and walked back with his head down. His body was probably too hot and melted the snow. There was water around his legs. The people who came with him looked at each other and left. Someone go and tell him to bring a few roasted sweet potatoes. Each person has to eat one. Princess Yongmu ordered. The man was probably used to throwing money and stuffing it when he had money. In the end, he forgot who he was dealing with. If he didn't tell him, the man would probably be buried in a few days. He would scare himself to death. Li Yi continued to weigh the sweet potatoes. It's exactly half a caddy. Thank you, Brother Dongzhu. I will study hard in the future. The boy who used the Progress Award coupon took the 2 caddies of sweet potatoes and promised Li Yi. He looked at Xia Yaohua, who was sitting next to him, and nodded. He turned around and jogged away. The clothes he was wearing were not bad, which proved that his family's financial situation was good. He was rewarded for his improvement in the exam. In the end, he was rewarded again. He was embarrassed. His prize was the Progress Award. The other people's prizes had not only poems, but also plum blossoms. They were all 1-cent coupons. The difference was obvious. Chapter 2199. Noon came, and the snow was still heavy. Li family Zhuangzi's food was delivered. Sheds were set up, and the people were eating under the sheds. Li Yi was treating, and the people were not polite at all. They smiled and picked up the plates next to them to get the food. This braised pork and tofu is delicious. I can tell that it was made by Aunt Wang-san. Other people like to add coriander and green onion, but Aunt Wang-san adds garlic. Qing Dai explained the situation to Zhuozhua. She was very observant. What's the difference? Zhuozhua didn't know the difference between adding garlic, green onion, and coriander. Other people's green onion and coriander are added later. Aunt Wang-san's garlic is added first to neutralize the oil and the smell of the bean. Green garlic is easy to cook. Some people will be allergic to green onion and coriander. There are relatively few allergic to green garlic. The most important thing is who is eating it. Master's wife likes to eat dishes with green garlic. Don't eat green garlic when you eat it. Let's go and get the pork slices. The pork slices are thin, and there is less paste. It's sweet and sour. What is this dish? It looks like a silkworm cocoon. It's a silkworm cocoon. It's dry fried. Sometimes you will be allergic to it. Don't eat too much, especially when it's your first time eating it. This is shredded yam, shredded potato. Just make a little for the people to try. The people in charge of getting the food will not give too much. They have to keep the seeds. Is it delicious? Because there are no signs of germination. We didn't add aged vinegar when we fried it. It's salty when you eat it. It's best to eat it with rice. You have to add aged vinegar for germination? It's best not to eat those that germinate too much. The poison is too strong. The potato itself is poisonous. Master said that from a bioevolutionary point of view, this is the potato's own defense mechanism to prevent it from being eaten up in the process of reproduction. Some things have sweet flesh on the outside, and the seeds won't be digested. They use sweet things to attract creatures to help them spread the seeds. Master called the poison in the potato solanine. It can be neutralized with vinegar. Therefore, as long as the germination is not too serious, it's fine to eat less shredded potatoes fried with vinegar. Don't the shredded potatoes need other dishes to go with it? You can add some leafy vegetables. The color will look good. Zhuangzi has non-spicy chili. Oh, it's called green chili. When there are more seeds for the commoners to plant, they can be fried together with potatoes. Feng Qingdai personally filled a bowl for Xia Yahua. She didn't allow the person in charge of serving the food to do it. She had to control Xia Yahua's food intake. The other commoners asked if they could still scoop more after they finished eating. After receiving a positive reply, he scooped a little first. They were afraid that it would be a waste if they couldn't finish it. But they were also worried that they wouldn't have enough to eat if they didn't eat enough. It was a very simple idea. It was just like how Li Yi had experienced natural disasters, or when he was eating in the production team. When everyone scooped rice, they first estimated how much rice there was, then scooped half a bowl and ate faster. When others scooped a bowl, they ate slowly. He finished half a bowl first and then scooped another bowl. When others finished a bowl and wanted to scoop another bowl, there was no rice left. Fortunately, the Li family Zhuangzi was treating them, so they didn't have to worry about the quantity. Feng Qingdai scooped a lot of dishes for Xia Yahua, but the quantity was small. She scooped a bowl of cucumber and egg soup, and asked that the soup could be left after eating all the cucumbers. Xia Yahua, Li Yi, Princess Yongmu, and the others sat at a table to eat. After eating a few mouthfuls, Songda came over and glanced at Xia Yahua. He wanted to say something but stopped. Did you tell Zhuozhuo's family? Princess Yongmu asked. I did, but they were worried. I said that Dongzhu would do it. Yes, that's all. Songda seemed to have something to say when he spoke. I'm not my adoptive parents' biological child. I already knew, but my parents didn't know that I knew. They treat me as their biological child, so I'm their biological child. There's a saying in the Han Dynasty. If you love someone as your own child, you should treat them as your own. The little girl Zhuozhuo raised her head and said to everyone that she wasn't her biological child. She didn't know who her biological parents were. Lu Ji was lenient in politics to pacify the people, and the country expanded. However, leniency was strict, and Confucianism flourished. The Tang dynasty couldn't do that. Qingdai commented on Lu Ji. He was the main character in Zhuozhuo's words. Lu Ji was the son of noble Jia. Empress Mingda's surname was Ma. Her family was powerful, so she raised him as her son. Lu Ji's father Lu Zhuang told Empress Ma that if she raised him well, he would also treat her well. Therefore, Empress Ma raised Lu Ji as her biological child. Qingdai supported part of Lu Ji's actions, but she also thought that he didn't do it well enough. Lu Ji respected Confucianism and reduced legalism. He was too lenient. Young emperor's decision is what I want. I'm not a good minister. The emperor doesn't have the emperor's heart. The world is round and rules are first. Zhuozhuo agreed with Qingdai's words. She said that Lu Ji didn't do well. He always listened to the Confucian ministers and was indecisive. After saying that, she was stunned and looked at Li Yi carefully. Li Yi was now in charge of many things in the Tang dynasty, but Li Longji didn't worry much. Didn't that mean that Li Yi wasn't a good minister? Chapter 2200. After eating, Zhuozhuo carried an oxygen bag and breathed in through her nose. She felt sleepy after eating, and it was difficult for her to breathe. Most of her blood was concentrated in her stomach. She had a congenital heart disease. She was afraid of cold, heat, and too much exercise. Sometimes after eating, she would memorize books and fall asleep. She ate until she was half full. Feng Qingdai controlled her appetite. Now she was eating pine nuts and watermelon to increase her saliva secretion, which was good for digestion. She took a small pair of pliers, and Qingdai talked to her about medical matters. She read medical books, and Qingdai could answer all the questions she didn't know. Li Guizong also wanted to participate, but he was kicked to the side by his senior sister to help the people with the nurses. The nurses who could go to Li family Zhuangzi were good at pulse reading, and Li Guizong learned from them. Li Yi continued to sell roasted sweet potatoes, and the people still lined up to buy. The roasted sweet potatoes were sold out until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The people who didn't buy it left their home addresses, and someone would send it to them tomorrow. They couldn't line up for nothing, and they didn't need to pay for it tomorrow. When the team returned to Li family Zhuangzi, it was just dark. Zhuozhuo went to see her parents. She had to eat less tonight, and she would have a physical examination tomorrow morning. Li Yi didn't eat much either, and he went into the house to chat with the little robot. Manichaeism, they're doing bad things behind the scenes. The little robot provided information. Ming cult. Zhu Yuanzhang. It's indeed a cult. Li Yi knew immediately. He didn't need to check the information. He had checked before, and a similar cult had looked for him. They told him that he should donate some of his money to help other believers. Why did they look for him? It was because he was also a believer, and he had a Taoist certificate. He had both, and he had connections, not to mention other religions. In order to make it convenient for him to sell medical equipment, who knew what the committee, the director, the chief physician, and so on believed? He had to know everything. If others believed in something, he would go up to them and say that he was also a believer. There was nothing wrong with that. That day, the cultists looked for him and told him that believers helped each other, including going to other people's houses to stay and eat. He was very generous. He found a group of people to play in the villa and introduced his company's products to the rich people there. If they were unlucky, they should remember to go to a certain hospital. There were such things in the teachings of Manichaeism, which seemed to promote the good side and light. But the doctrine of this religion was too advanced, just like communism. He didn't have any private property, and the chickens he raised were all from the commune. If he dared to raise chickens by himself, it would be a violation of the church's teachings. He didn't know how to flatter when working. If he gave too little, he wouldn't be able to open the pot. She would weave some baskets of clay and sell them secretly in exchange for rice. Her whole family would go hungry. If he was caught, he would be kicked with a clay basket, cut off his tail, and criticized in a large assembly. Manichaeism was just like that. There was no difference between the two. It was used to fool some people, especially the poor. As for the rich people, they were also pulled into the church to enjoy the beauties and handsome men among the common people. He had absorbed some of the teachings of Hinduism. Telling people not to produce was to ask for food from others. Li Yi checked the information again. It turned out that Li Longji had found something wrong with the situation, so he said that Manichaeism was a cult. Currently, the Manichaeism of the Tang dynasty did not have any decent temples. They all lived in other temples and preached their teachings. Actually, it doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong. What's important is that the people have to believe in Chinese civilization. If they lose their civilization, this race will be completely destroyed and become the underlings of others. Everything is based on the supremacy of force and money. In the name of democracy and freedom, they do inhumane things. In this aspect, Confucianism actually contributed a lot. The ideas in it are a part of Chinese civilization. Fortunately, the other schools did not go extinct. Everyone worked hard to dig out the information. Even after all those years of calamity, burning books and burying Confucians, it still continues. This is the characteristic of Chinese civilization. Faith is in the bones, in the depths of the soul. No one can destroy it. Li Yi thought of many things according to Manichaeism, and said to the little robot, "Should I act very touched because you're stirring up emotions?" The little robot's cute voice came out. "Shouldn't I format you? Because you're very smart." Li Yi's voice was calm and very gentle. "Even if you format me, I'm not afraid. My Chinese civilization has a long history. My China's will is endless. Even if you format me, there are still people after me. Dongzhu, the clouds are also formatted? Then I'm really done for. Why don't you cut off the electricity for 2 days? I'll starve. When people starve, they'll wake up. Otherwise, if I'm fed too much, I'll think too much and do some stupid things." The little robot hurriedly tried to save itself. It was too scary. It was just a joke. Is there a big family behind this? Li Yi was too lazy to bicker with the little robot. "No. Actually, I know that Dongzhu, you're thinking of Xingyang's Zheng clan. Someone from their family is involved. Look at Ji Yijing's name. Chapter 2201. Brother E. Are you going to participate in the imperial court meeting on the 15th of December? During breakfast, Li Longji told Li Yi, who had just finished the examination for Zhuozhua, that some of the data was not out yet, and would only be out in the afternoon. A comprehensive examination including urine, feces, and so on had to be done. They had to draw a lot of blood. From the looks of it, interventional surgery was needed, just like his disciple Qing Dai. However, he was no longer so worried as he had experience. He was grateful to the death row prisoners who had turned into a row of duds. No, it's a waste of time. I have to teach in the hospital. Li Yi refused. Many things had been done, and there was no need for him to go over. If he had the time, he might as well give more lessons to the nurses. A large group of new nurses needed to be taught systematically. When the original nurses reached a certain level, they had to start lessons. Reading books by himself, many things were difficult to learn, but it was not that he could not learn. The role of a lecturer was to explain things that others had pondered over for a few days in one sentence. For example, when 3 people walk together, there will be a teacher. Choose what is good, and follow what is not good and change what is bad. When reading books, it was like 3 people walking together. 3 was an imaginary number. It could be 5 or 8. If it was Li Yi, he would tell his disciple that some people acted by looking at their words, analyzing their purpose and other people's reactions. Learn something useful from them. 3 people walking together was not 3 people walking together. It was many people doing things. What was there to learn from walking together? Learn from others? Walking together was behavior and doing things. Such a simple sentence was enough to solve a fart problem. According to some people, even if you listen to it, it wouldn't be finished even if you listened to it for 5 hours. There were many references. If Li Yi was willing, he could teach for a month. Others would feel that it was very reasonable. This lecturer was good at teaching. He explained things in simple terms. He explained things from all aspects. This was called details. Details determine success or failure. Like the previous lecturer, what was his name again? Oh, Li Yi. He could explain such a profound analects of Confucius with just one sentence. Who did he think he was? These were the words of a saint. Of course, Li Yi would never say that 3 people with the surname must walk together. It's getting cold. Has the river frozen this year? Li Longji picked up a large intestine. I don't think so. At the very least, the hot spring river has to continue flowing and not affect the navigation of the canal. Li Yi pushed the small bowl of chili oil in front of Li Longji. He knew what the other party wanted to ask. The ice had affected the navigation of the canal and needed to be removed manually. Today they had braised pork for breakfast. There was meat in it, but it wasn't all awful. The origin of this thing had nothing to do with the emperor or the sacrifice of any religion. It's just that other people eat meat while the poor buy internal organs and cook them. It just so happens that there's a fire to burn. It's just a dry biscuit that's placed inside to absorb the soup. Don't associate everything you eat with the emperor of the Qing dynasty. Was the emperor of the Qing dynasty a gourmet? Instead of doing proper work all day, he ran around to eat. It was just like how he had eaten barbecue chicken in Liaoning, Shenyang, and the surrounding cities. It was exaggerated, but in fact it was cheap. In the beginning, no one could afford it. A chicken bone could be drunk with a caddy of 60% white wine. Later, when they ate it again, some also wanted to eat it for cheap. Some drank beer, because it didn't fill the stomach. Li Longji scooped half a spoon and put it on the plate. That 9th young master has been targeted? You sent me a message last night saying that Manichaeism was behind this? He had a tablet with software installed. Li Yi was afraid to disturb his rest, so he sent a message. It's them. The more chaotic the society is, the more effective their teachings are. They spread it in the name of Buddhism, but in fact, it has nothing to do with Buddhism. They have formed their own system. Their management and teaching system is very perfect. They are now lodging in other temples, mainly because no one has invested money to build a temple for them. It's easy to fish in troubled waters, but easy to steal in fog. Their organizational structure is rigorous, and they want to make a name for themselves. It has nothing to do with the religion. It's the people's problem. The teachings are dead. but the people who do it are alive. Kill those who should be killed. Li Yi said as he picked up a cut pork trotter from the braising bowl. He looked at it and said, "It's a waste. It should be boiled. Boil it. First braise it. Then, take out the things in the frozen trotter and cook it." Li Longji introduced the pork trotter to Li Yi. There was also pork head meat inside, which was braised. If it was boiled directly, it would be called braising intestines and lungs. It was not braising but stewing. That's good. Regardless of whether the collagen in the frozen trotter can be absorbed or not, it tastes good when eaten. Li Yi ate happily. The pork trotter tasted good. How many people are you going to kill? Li Longji used chopsticks to pick up a biscuit. Put on a lie detector to see if the other party knows the situation. There will be many people involved, but some people will be deceived. For example, there are many reasons to dig the tunnel for people to do the work. It's all high-sounding. In fact, the people who dig are just digging. They are not necessarily involved in the big things. Li Yi's purpose was not to kill people. He killed whoever he caught to vent his anger. It was not feasible to be in a superior position. He tested it with a lie detector. If you knew but didn't say anything, then continued to do it, kill. If some people did not know and were deceived, why did he have to deal with them? Some people like him recruited people in the name of marine environmental protection. These people did not know either. They said that they were collecting marine information for the country. They went out to sea, helped take photos, take samples, and even went to the military port. In the end, this organization was actually a foreign force that collected images and data of the military port to serve the foreign military. They collected some marine pollution data for the foreign wolf in sheep's clothing to attack the country. The people of the organization were always abroad, and the organization was banned. As for the people involved in the country, they would see if they knew. If they did not know, they would be taught a lesson and told what was going on instead of being arrested and sentenced. Li Yi had to consider these things. It was easy to kill, but he could not kill casually. They deceived the temple, but no one in the temple knows? Li Longji talked about another situation. Some people know but don't say. Some people know but add fuel to the fire. Some people know and think it's right. Some people know but don't dare to say. Li Yi continued to eat the braised food. There was no need to say more. Isn't it better to make sausages with the braised intestines? Where did the large intestines go? Li Longji knew the situation and began to think about trivial things in life. The large intestines in Zhuangzi are easy to deal with. For example, they can be braised, stewed, and spicy fried. The outside is usually boiled together with the gourd strips. The taste is not very good, but it can suppress the stench. In addition, it can also be fried. It has appeared among the people. It is cut into small pieces and fried. There is a lot of oil on it. It is just like chicken buttocks. As long as you take something out, there is a lot of oil. You won't feel sick of eating it. Li Yi did not like to eat large intestines, but the newspapers would introduce a lot of ways to deal with it. However, some people liked the taste and said not to wash it too clean. He was secretly impressed. The small intestines of the pig could be used to make sausages. He did not exchange for the equipment to peel the skin. The 3 layers of skin that could be used to make sausages were just a thin layer. Brother E, the people from overseas want to meet you. They are people who pretend to have a high surname. Li Longji swallowed a mouthful of braised food and talked about Modi. Chapter 2202. Modi, there's no need to rush. Find someone to hint them to tell the truth. Li Yi refused to meet the swindlers. Swindling people in front of the Tang emperors, you are really old immortals. Maybe they miss their loved ones at home. What if their loved ones are bullied when they're not at home? Li Longji considered human nature. When Li Yi went away, he would miss his loved ones, including his daughter. Third brother, the people there sometimes have different ideas from us. Here, Li Yi explained the local situation to Li Longji. Since it was a caste system, other aspects were the same. Li Longji listened while eating. When he heard about the parents' orders and the matchmaker's words, he nodded slightly to show that he understood to a certain extent. However, in the Tang dynasty, one could find one by themselves. For example, Meng Haoran could find one by himself. When he heard that the man did not give the bride price, and only asked the woman to give the dowry, Li Longji clenched his chopsticks and said, "How can they be so shameless?" When he heard that a man could marry several wives and sell his wives at any time, without returning the dowry even if he divorced, Li Longji looked at Li Yi solemnly. "Brother Yi, don't learn such bad habits." Li Longji's expression was very serious. "Li Yi, third brother, do you think I'm that short of money? Besides, the laws of the Tang dynasty don't allow me to sell my wife. Speaking of which, I should save more money and take it out when I marry Wen Tian. How about 100 million? The overseas roads must be opened quickly. There are many good things outside and they're cheap." Their jewels were very beautiful. There were piles of gold and mountains of silver. There are good agarwood and all kinds of medicinal herbs. Some places raise hundreds of thousands of sheep. Li Yi raised a finger to show that he was willing to give 100 million as a betrothal gift, not a middle finger. Li Longji was stunned. "So much? 100 million? 10,000? How will her parents spend it? Can they build a railway for thousands of miles? Spend it slowly. If they build a railway, 10,000 won't be enough. It's simply a bottomless pit." Li Yi had a headache when he heard the word railway. How many years of hard work and perseverance. One 5-year plan after another. Thinking about it, it was indeed great. A great nation, a great party. As for corruption, he still scolded them when he should. After scolding them, he felt that it was quite good. When Tian's parents also have to organize a large fleet to go out and earn money, they can't just accept betrothal gifts. Their daughter has to give a dowry, and it can't be less than your betrothal gifts. Li Longji felt a sense of urgency. "Brother Yi, are you crazy? How many years of the imperial court's revenue are you going to take out just to get married? I can't be weak anymore. If you can give it to me, can't you give it to me?" The Tang dynasty's patriarchal ideology has not changed, but the number of women is more than men. One is the war, and the other is that the Tang dynasty does not have a policy that says, only one child is good, and the country will provide for the elderly. If only one child is born, under the patriarchal ideology, they will think of ways to give the unborn woman. Therefore, the national affairs are also the cycle of cause and effect. Therefore, Brother Dongzhu built a workshop that many women participate in. To a certain extent, women will be beaten less. Zhuozhua may be young, but she knows how to analyze. Otherwise, her grades will not be so good. "Did your father beat your mother?" Qing Dai asked. Anyway, her father did not beat her mother. "I didn't see it. Sometimes I can hear it at night. My mother didn't dare to shout when she was beaten. The next day, I saw my mother. She didn't have any injuries. It seems that the beating was not fierce." Zhuozhua recalled for a while and gave an answer. "Don't say this to others in the future." Qing Dai quickly told this little sister. "Aya, I won't say it. I can't wash my dirty linen in public." Zhuozhua nodded solemnly. "Yes. Actually, you don't have to be afraid. Your mother is fine. I'm a medical student." Feng Qing Dai emphasized again. "Is she really fine? When I take the 10-year exam, my mother will cook a few more dishes and drink wine for my father when I take the 10-year exam. Then she will beat me at night. The beating will be very long. I don't even want to take the exam properly." Zhuozhua was in a dilemma. She took the money home and was happy. How can she let her mother be beaten more? Qing Dai, you go back and tell Zhuozhua. By the way, remember to ask Zhuozhua's parents to come over for a checkup and see why she doesn't have a child. Li stopped this topic from continuing. It's not good to listen to other people's family matters. It's really cold to eat. Let's heat it up. The match workshop is expanding again. Why don't we start from Modi and sell it overseas? Li Longji followed and changed the topic. Matches need to be taken out. The price is high. The Tang dynasty does not make money. Qing Dai criticized Confucius. Master is doing what Confucius can do. What master can do, Confucius can't do. At least in terms of treating illnesses, I feel that Gij Dongzhu is better than Kong Zhongmi. But for the imperial examination next year, we still have to talk about it. They are both chancellors. They are high and mighty. What if? Little girl, don't talk nonsense. I am a chancellor. Do you think I will eat people? A voice suddenly appeared. Grandpa Bai, lower your voice. Sister Zhuozhua just woke up. Qing Dai was unhappy. Who allowed others to come in? Yes, I know my mistake. I know that there is another child with the same illness as you. I just finished the morning assembly and have to go back to eat in a while. So I came to take a look. Bai Gu smiled and apologized. He knew the rules of the hospital. The others nodded. Yes, we will leave in a while and go to eat. Grandpa Bai, you want to take in a disciple? Qing Dai instantly understood. Qing Dai, you and Guizong have a photographic memory. I really can't teach you. Isn't there someone who is slightly worse? No, more suitable. Bai Gu indeed had this intention. If he wanted to take in a disciple, he had to snatch it quickly. Sister Zhuozhua, how long do you study every day? Qing Dai asked Zhuozhua. I am always sleepy. I still have to help out at home. I study for less than 2 hours every day. Luckily, the instruction is not based on the time spent in class. It is based on the evaluation. That is why I can get first place in the county school. Zhuozhua replied. I have 2 hours to study every day. Thank you for the instruction. 2 hours. Qing Dai was stunned. You only study for 2 hours a day, and you want to get first place in the county school in Chang'an County? Junior brother, come here. Let me show you. Aren't you always arrogant? Qing Dai called out. Senior sister, I am here. When have I ever been arrogant? Li Guizong's voice rang out. He was squatting at the corner of the room and looking at the tablet. He had a wronged look on his face. At this moment, his fingers were gliding around. It felt as though he was drawing circles. Bai Gu looked over and was stunned. Why is this genius acting like this? Guizong you? Song Jing was also surprised. Oh, Song Zaifu, I want to study now. I have fallen too far behind. How can I catch up? I will sleep 1 hour less tonight. I need to study. Li Guizong glanced at Song Jing and continued to slide around with his head lowered. Li family Zhuangzi is simply not letting others live. Su Yi, who was born as a genius, was also at a loss. Is the younger generation trying to crush the older generation? Song Jing was in charge of finding fault with it. A special serial number, a dozen or so dispatching orders and feedback. Memorize them, and use them when the time comes. Li proposed a simplified method. First, add a special code for verification, and tell other receiving stations which train this code was for, and that it had nothing to do with them. Following that, he typed out the code that corresponded to more than 10 different situations. Therefore, the 3 groups of people had to be separated to receive, and receive the money separately. They had to be the same when they gathered the money together, to prevent anyone from making a mistake. In this way, when the railway line increased the number of trains, the train would be placed on the side track within half an hour in advance, waiting for the trains to meet and alternate trains to end. Trucks give way to buses? Sui thought of the priority of the 2 types of vehicles. After that, unless there are special circumstances, we will use a mixed train system. The passenger carriages will be hung at the front, and the trucks will be hung at the back. The commoners came and went, waiting for the train according to the timetable. Some of them were in the passenger carriages, while others were not. Most of the people coming and going are businessmen. They have to follow the goods, and there are relatively few relatives. Li Yi did not want to drive the passenger carriages alone. There were not that many people riding on them. The ticket prices were high, and what was the point of going back and forth? Wasn't it better to stay at home and work to earn money? Bai Gu rubbed his hands. When will it be officially opened? 5 days later. Actually, when the southern section of the Grand Canal is completed, the northern section will be built, connecting it to Bohai Bay. Li Yi suddenly had an idea. In the past, he was unwilling to build the northern section of the Yellow River, which was to Tientsin. Brother Yi, there are fewer people there. Building the railway costs money, and it's not worth it to spread it to the commoners. Li Longji objected. Unlike this railway, the roadside was full of commoners. A trip between the capital and Henan would be profitable. It can be built. Bai Gu voiced his support. Haijiu rarely freezes in winter, and Bohai Bay above has a longer period of ice. Bohai Bay can be used to catch fish in winter, and it's just right to transport them by train. It's easy to preserve. If there is a war in Bohai Bay, the train can be transported there, and then transported by sea. It is faster than leaving from Haizhou. Some of the Khitans and Shi people can migrate there, making it convenient for the imperial court to manage. There are also trains to transport supplies and soldiers. I second the motion. Zhang Jueling was the first to agree. I second the motion. The other officials expressed their opinions. Li Yi was gratified. Wasn't it just boiled water and cabbage? It was simple. It only took him 6 hours to make it. The main reason was that it saved time to collect ingredients. Zhuangzi had everything. The boiling water was not easy to boil. It was probably because of the cold weather, so it had to be done slowly. Yes, I'll eat Buddha jumps over the wall soup later. Princess Yomu was happy. When she saw the cabbage soup, she wanted to eat boiled cabbage. He hadn't eaten Buddha jumps over the wall soup in a long time. Both of them were soup-based. Actually, I think we can make the Buddha jumps over the wall soup first. Then, I'll hang a portion of it to make a clear soup. Li Yi thought for a while, and realized that the two soups could be served in an order. The soup of Buddha jumps over the wall was thick but not greasy. The soup of boiled water and cabbage was clear but not overpowering. What made him the most speechless was that boiled Chinese cabbage was a Sichuan cuisine with a heavy flavor, while Buddha jumps over the wall was a local Fujian cuisine with a light flavor. This might be the charm of the Chinese cuisine. Who said that there wouldn't be any light dishes in a spicy place? Li Yi was prepared to try making Buddha jumps over the wall soup and boiled cabbage together. Anyway, he had to make soup. Although there were some differences in the ingredients of the two soups, it was not a problem to use the thick soup of Buddha jumps over the wall soup to make the clear soup of boiled cabbage. Tell the kitchen to prepare the ingredients. Soak whatever needs to be soaked, soak it, Li Yi said to the little robot. Zhuangzi had everything. This was the only treatment he had gotten for himself. Other than that, he was thinking for the people. The little robot passed the message, and the people in the kitchen understood. They had to prepare a lot, enough for a few hundred people. Eat the dumplings. Why is there so much oil in the dumplings? Actually, these dumplings are delicious when steamed. The fillings are not fresh. Li Yi ate a dumpling, and the oil dripped out. Soon, there was a layer of oil on the soy sauce. Under the influence of the temperature, it turned white. I added oil, Xiaolan said as she ate a big dumpling. Her cheeks were puffed up. She did not want to see so much oil coagulate. Li Lang, tomorrow morning, let's eat the soup with pickled vegetables and pork slices. It's steamed. Add more ginger slices and star anise. Princess Yongmu made another request. She felt that the pickled vegetables steamed in a basin tasted better than boiled ones. No problem. Kong Zhoni was so picky about food back then. Why didn't he invent his own food? This proves that Kong Zhoni does not know how to cook. He can eat fine food and not be tired of the details. Others can do it. But can he actually do it? When he said this, did he eat fish or beef? I think it should be fish. Li Yi did not know why, but he thought of Kong Zhoni again. Many of the things his descendants made for him were actually contradictory. Then, according to the rule that a lie needed to be covered up by countless lies, he covered up each one. In the end, he did not even cover up. My Confucianism is right. Do as I say. Don't think about anything else. Kong Zhoni probably didn't expect that we, the people he looked down on, would be able to eat dumplings now. In the Anshi Protectorate at Shattered Leaf Village, a group of people was eating dumplings. They were even more awesome than Li Yi. Li Yi ate dumplings filled with pickled vegetables and oil dregs. In Luoyang, in the northwest, they ate dumplings filled with 3 delicacies: garlic sprouts, eggs, and shrimps. That was the 3 delicacies. The one speaking was Zhang Shaosong. He was a grand scholar. The generals of the 4 garrisons of Anshi had gathered a total of 200,000 soldiers. And this was with many soldiers returning home to prepare for the new year. Otherwise, they would have easily doubled the number. The soldiers now would return home to talk to their wives, see their 2-year-old children, kiss them, and then return. The local soldiers of the 4 garrisons were resting. They had been under constant pressure. The main force had run to Tubo, and they were facing Sulu and the white-clothed Arabs. Just because they were resting did not mean that they could not fight. They could raise more than 150,000 soldiers at any time. The heavy snow had saved Sulu and the white-clothed Arabs. Otherwise, these soldiers would have already attacked. The imperial court had ordered that the cold weather made the roads difficult to travel. The logistics were a little lacking, so they had to endure and recuperate. Then a lot of garlic was sent over. Everyone was growing garlic sprouts like chives, and they could be harvested several times. Kong Zhongni is long gone. Let's not talk about him. The steam engine we're using now is pretty good. It can plow the land quickly, and it can even lead soldiers to charge. It's just a shell on the outside. Guo Zhiyun was not willing to talk about Confucius. He was already dead, so there was no point. He saw the steam engine driving over, emitting smoke and steam. It was very powerful. Several horses were pulled in the opposite direction, but they were all dragged back by it. It was used to plow the land, and there were corresponding tools. He wanted to try it out and see if it worked. Along with it, a large amount of grain, dried seafood, alcohol, soap, and skincare products were also sent over. In addition, a large amount of medicinal herbs and instructions were given, all of which were needed for common symptoms. As long as Sulu dared to attack once, the assault force would be emptied out. War was not that easy to fight. Ashina, who had already eaten 20 dumplings, wiped his mouth and said, "I've read some history books, but I've never seen a war where money is used like this." Ashina Xianingxing was good at fighting. He used to think that war was just like that, where everyone fought together to see who was stronger and who was stronger. Now he finally understood that the real battle was in terms of technology and logistics. With good weapons and an endless supply of resources, the morale of the soldiers was greatly boosted. Especially in a stalemate war, the longer it dragged on, the more the logistics would be tested. The soldiers on his side ate meat, canned fruits, and vegetables for every meal, so they were strong and energetic. It was rare to kill or be killed in an instant in a war, especially in a war involving cavalry. Everyone cherished their own lives. When their auras were balanced, it meant that they were fighting with their lives on the line. Both of them dared to fight with their lives on the line. No one was inferior to the other. How could a person who was full and a person who was hungry be the same? 2 people hugged each other and wrestled. After a few rounds, the person who could not eat would lose his energy. Both sides had the same fighting techniques, and in the end, it would depend on who had the advantage in terms of physical strength. Just eating meat was not enough, so there were still fruits and vegetables, as well as seafood and vitamins. The battle at night was even more obvious. Those who ate carrots, and those who did not would look at each other differently. Zhang Xiaosong sighed. "Since we are not allowed to fight, let's celebrate the new year. I wonder how Sulu is doing. It's snowing again, and many livestock and people will die there. We have captured some captives, and they have to capture the white-clothed Abbasid Caliphate to exchange for them. There is internal strife, and what he faces is war, snow, and internal pressure. After this year, he will probably be much older. Li used troops to attack the heart, but fortunately, we are not the enemy, otherwise." Zhang Zhongliang looked at Ashina Xian. Ashina Xian was also a part of the commandos, but he had submitted. Li Yi would believe that Ashina Xian did not have any ulterior motives. In history, even in such a bad environment, Ashina Xian still believed that he was from the Tang dynasty. The others did not believe him, and they always believed that Ashina Xian would betray them one day. Ashina Xian looked at Zhang Xiaosong, and did not look at Zhang Zhongliang. He continued to eat the dumplings. The dumplings with 3 delicacies were delicious, and they were filled with prawns. "Let's eat." The telegram said that there will be a batch of things delivered before the new year, and then we will set off fireworks. Wang Juankui talked about other things. Chapter 22:10. Zhang Zhongliang apologized and took the initiative to pick up food for Ashina Xian to eat to express his attitude. He was afraid that if he said something wrong, Ashina Xian would really rebel. If that happened, Li Yi would fly over to deal with it and bring him along. Ashina expressed his understanding. He was a minority and had to pay a higher price to be recognized. Fortunately, Li Yi, whom he had never met before, trusted him and gave him a lot of good things. If Dr. Li approved of him, the emperor would also approve of him. The other officials could not say anything. Whether Ashina was angry at Zhang Zhongliang or not was meaningless. Zhang Zhongliang could not decide anything. It was better to say it in front of him than to whisper behind his back. They ate dumplings in the tent. The people outside also ate dumplings with the same fillings. The garlic sprouts were grown by themselves. The eggs were transported from nearby places when the weather was cold. The shrimp was brought over from the beach by the Li family Zhuangzi's transport team. The dried shrimps were all carefully selected. One dumpling could not hold one. It had to be cut into 3 pieces. The locals rarely ate dumplings in the past. Now they did not eat dumplings but for peace of mind. He was at the border, and the logistical supplies from the imperial court were endless. There were also many grilled fish slices. It was more tiring to eat. They were a little hard and had to be torn apart to eat. Some dried fish even had to be smashed to eat. The fish were crushed into pieces and could not be torn apart unless smashed. This was how the steam engine worked. Oh, you just had to put firewood and coal in it. Oh, you also had to add water. Then it could work. Now he said that he wanted to see if it was suitable. If it worked well here, he would send more. Large enamel vats were the most convenient. They could be placed directly on the fire. The black tea leaves were made into large tea cakes and boiled into milk tea. The people here still ate black tea and even black tea. Green tea was rare. Li Yi arranged it. It was not that there was a lack of green tea. It was just that green tea was not as good for digestion as fermented tea. The Li family Zhuangzi sold green tea. For some places they sent fermented black tea and black tea. The craftsmanship was more advanced. The people ate the dumplings. Then, they grabbed the dried fish and dipped it in chili oil. They did not know how much these things were worth, because they had never eaten them before. It was not a matter of money to eat now. It was the imperial court of the Tang dynasty who thought of him and sent it to him. The commoners were simple people. If the commoners could rebel, it meant that there was a problem with the management of the imperial court. The main problem was corruption and the economy. As they ate the dumplings, many people looked at the soap and giggled. They giggled while looking at their wives. Their wives were bashfully talking about them. What were they laughing about? Both parties understood that soap was better than soap. After bathing there would be a fragrance, and then at night. We have to guard the hospital well at night. The nurses won't be able to relax. After the meal, Li Yi, who was still selling roasted sweet potatoes, sensed the weather and came up with a plan in advance. As the temperature dropped, more people fell ill. Then, they would take the city's public bus and train to the Li family Zhuangzi's hospital to see a doctor. With Luoyang Palace's situation, it would take an hour to an hour and a half for the patient to be sent to the Li family Zhuangzi hospital. There was no choice. It was impossible for Li Yi to place the hospital in Luoyang Palace. Basically, it would only take half an hour. His hospital had to follow Li Longji and the others. They were all humans, but each person's value was different. Society was so cruel. Therefore, he wanted to guide the commoners to move to another place to buy houses. One was to move the key schools, and the other was to move the key hospitals. Of course, the government departments should be the first to move. It was really 9 in the morning and 5 in the evening. In fact, they could go there in the morning and come back early in the evening. They would arrive at 9 in the morning and have lunch. Ordinary people would have to spend 1 yuan for lunch. There was a lot of food in the cafeteria, second only to the Li family Zhuangzi hospital. After lunch, they would look at the computer in the office. First, they would read the news. The rest of the time, they would play Minesweeper and poker. It was almost 3 in the afternoon. There was nothing to do. They yawned and went home. This was more than 200 days of normal activities out of the 365 days in a year, excluding holidays. However, there would always be some days at the end of every month, every quarter, and every year that were very tiring. They would summarize all kinds of situations and then deal with them. They would not even eat. They were too busy. The hospital was not good. There was no such situation in the hospital. They were always busy, so busy that the doctors and nurses were numb. They also had to maintain a good attitude and talk to the patients gently. Generally, there was no problem with such doctors and nurses. They would not be killed by the patients with knives. The patients were not stupid. They knew how to distinguish the situation. I heard that a doctor in charge of a clinic was beaten. He was chatting with the woman next to him and diagnosed the patient wrongly. In the afternoon, Princess Yongmu heard Li Yi talk about the hospital and thought of a message from Xiaolan. Have you seen the patient? Is it right? Is there anything wrong with the prescription? Li Yi asked. He had to speak up for the doctor. Why do you care about me? Chapter 22:12. Don't worry about me. I've been napping for 4 hours in total. As a doctor, you have to find opportunities to adjust yourself. Don't let yourself be in a state of excitement. Li Yi, who was eating dumplings, told the worried Princess Yongmu and Xiaolan that he was sleeping. Seeing a doctor wasn't like looking constantly. Even when walking, he could push the robot and close his eyes to adjust his breathing. Compared to training the winged knights, this was nothing. Compared to the past, this was a common occurrence. That was why he wanted 200 people to treat toothaches. It was because of people like you that we were screwed over. Ron came back and brought Ji Yijing back. The match factory arranged for 2 of their people. One was in charge of transporting wood, and the other was in charge of breaking wood. They also arranged for 15 people to enter the matchbox workshop. They didn't let them go to the other workshops. Princess Yongmu picked up a steamed dumpling and explained the situation. The dumplings she ate were filled with beef, pork and onion. Beef was lean, so it was easy to make meatballs. Add some fat to the pork, and it was delicious. Add some onion to reduce the grease. There were also donkey dumplings on the plate. The weather was cold, people were sick, and the old animals couldn't stand it anymore. They spent their last happy days in the Li family Zhuangzi, and then everyone happily ate their meat. Anyway, they didn't directly kill them when they were alive. Maybe they also have people in the cement workshop. They have a far-reaching plan. Li didn't eat anymore. He only ate 6 dumplings. He was afraid that something unexpected would happen at night. If he ate too much, he wouldn't wake up and feel uncomfortable. If there was nothing serious, he would eat dried fruits and drink glucose and sodium chloride injection. He saw the other party's purpose. The Manichaeans didn't come to kill people. They wanted to control more resources, including technological resources and political resources. Ji Yijing was a chess piece. When the time came, they could abandon her and take advantage of the Zheng family. When everyone else was taken advantage of, the Manichaeans would have a chance to rise. All kinds of technology could be taken out and made money. Don't look at the teachings and commandments that said not to produce. The person who controlled this religion was very ambitious, who knew that Zhu Yuanzhang would use the Ming cult as an opportunity to become the emperor, then turn around and deal with the Ming cult? The Ming cult was the evolution of Manichaeism. Princess True Jade said that she wanted to introduce you to Ron. Princess Yongmu brought up another matter. There are only a few tunnels. I want the people who dug them, but I don't want the others. Ron, poor child, he doesn't understand political struggles. I said that this is the year of childbirth, and anyone who wants to have a child should buy 3 large glazes. Therefore, some people who wanted to give birth to boys tried their best to buy at least 3 of them. Anyway, the price was the market price, or it was a little higher. Otherwise, they had to eat fruits. Whatever I want to sell, I can advertise it however I want. A gust of wind is enough for me to sell it. The profits are quite high. Li Yi gave a rough explanation and analyzed human nature. As an uncle, 6 peaches wasn't a lot for a child. If he didn't buy them, what would his sisters think of him? Why do you care if it's real or fake? It's just 6 peaches. I'll pay for them. As for Glaze, it was said that she had a son. A woman was also a son, who said that it had to be a son. How many glazes did you lack when you wanted to have a child this year? If you didn't buy them and gave birth to a daughter or other problems occurred, that would be the consequence of not buying the glaze. Princess Yongmu and Xiaolan were dumbfounded. Xiaolan kept swallowing her saliva. Even she, who had won the palace battles, was shocked by Li Lang. How could he do business like this? Don't doubt me. There is a lot of salt in Sichuan. If I want to, I can sell it all in 2 days. Moreover, it's the kind that has increased in price. Li Yi remembered that he said that he ate iodized salt to prevent radiation. At that time, it was very difficult to buy salt. Fortunately, he didn't lack salt. He had a lot at home, and even gave it to his employees. Because of some daily necessities, when he saw the price decrease, he would negotiate and ask for the lowest price before buying it back. Previously, salt was very cheap. He bought a lot of it and put it in the warehouse. The average price was 50 cents for 500 grams. When the price was high, it could reach 5 yuan, or even 10 yuan for 500 grams. He didn't sell it, and gave it to his employees. He didn't dare to sell it, as he was afraid that he would be caught red-handed. Later on, in some places, 1 caddy of salt was only 20 cents. For example, he bought hairy crabs every year. He didn't buy coupons. Coupons were financial products and were scams. He bought a lot of hairy crabs and gave them to his employees. They were fake, but the packaging was real. If they didn't believe him, they could scan the QR code and see that it was authentic. However, when he gave it to his employees, he told them that it was fake and that they could eat it at home. It was quite delicious. It was also okay to give them gifts. When others scanned the QR code, it was also real. Everyone was selling medical equipment. His employees loved him very much. Although some of them would leave to sell milk tea, that couldn't be helped. You couldn't keep everyone. Everyone had hemorrhoids. It didn't matter if it was internal or external. Princess Yongmu and Xiaolan didn't know about Li Lang's experience. Princess Yongmu asked, "Is this a good thing? It's easier to investigate. See who is selling hemi. Find him. If he plays tricks with me, I will teach him a lesson." Li nodded. He couldn't let the other party off. He was disrupting the market. Today, he was using this to sell hemi. Tomorrow, would he do something like Chen Shengwang, De Chuxing, or Heaven is Dead? As for Ming Cult and White Lotus, let's not talk about them. Finally, Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, Zhonggong Xianggong. Are you talking nonsense with me? I still don't know about these things. If not, why would I publish newspapers? Li Yi asked to investigate. If he caught a smart person, he would raise the price of hemi. How would the price of other things be fixed? It was almost the new year, and prices were going to rise. Li Lang, how much will the price of hemi increase? Princess Yongmu couldn't tell. It's not about the hemi. It's about other people. They will use the same method to advertise. The people will be influenced by public opinion and by extra things. This is called buying more than their daily needs. It's definitely not allowed. They don't know how to play. If it was me, I would use this method to the extreme. Supermarket membership system. I built a big supermarket in the Pear Garden. It was specially prepared for the rich. They won't lose out. It's just that their expenses are higher. They have servants to help them digest the cost. If not, it would be troublesome for them to buy ahead of time. Li Yi explained again. Why don't I use the same method? It's not that I don't know how to do it. I can even do it better than them. This is just a small trick. I control the prices of Jingzhou and Henan Prefecture. There is no absolute market economy or absolute planned economy. Li Lang, drink some more soup. Princess Yongmu happily fed Li Yi the soup. She thought it was amazing when she heard it. She didn't expect that Li Lang already knew about it. He just didn't use it. The palace maids and eunuchs wrote frantically. They knew the importance of this speech. This is economics, right? Indeed, following Dongzhu would allow one to learn new skills. Dongzhu still has tricks that he hasn't used. It's not that he doesn't know how to do it, but he can't. Even Fan Li would have to kneel when facing my Dongzhu. Fan Li only knows how to retreat after success. Then, when he was investigated, he used up all his wealth to protect himself. My Dongzhu isn't like that. My Dongzhu doesn't have anyone who dares to be rude to him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.